Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be in the world, and welcome to what has been a fantastic season of rally here at the Creator Series. And of course, we're here for our season finale, and of course, where better to end it than Rally Oceania. I'm joined in the comments box, as always, by John Amusing Harris. John, how you doing?
I'm doing ever so well. And yourself?
I'm doing very well. Excited to see the finale to what has been such a fantastic season.
It has many thrills and spills, and you couldn't wish for anything else in a rally season. Really, one of the most tough sort of events to get used to as a driver. Rally New Zealand, otherwise known in this game as Rally Oceania, it's one of the fan favorites, one of the driver favorites. There have been many, many good memories over the years. It's not only been part of the WRC, it's been part of the Asia Pacific Championship, which has been home to many up-and-coming talents that have been thrown in by Mitsubishi, Subaru, and many other brands. Some key moments have been made here, including Richard Byrne's sole win of the 2001 season, which eventually led to his championship. We've had victories by Marcus Grönholm in 2006, 2007, trying desperately to catch Sebastian Loeb, and ultimately at the end of the season, just falling a couple of points short. It's an event that's been run many, many times in the past and won by talented drivers such as Timo Salonen, Walter Roll, many legends, and it'd be almost impossible to list all of them in a row. Unfortunately, events that hasn't been run regularly since 2012 as part of the WRC calendar, being once run after COVID in 2022, won by Kalle Rovanperä, where he clinched the championship with a win on the power stage to crown his achievement of his first World Championship.
Amazing stuff. I look forward to seeing if any of our creators can replicate such highlights here this afternoon. We've got some of your favourites in. We've got the usuals. We've got Punju, we've got Dark Viper, Vlembar, and of course some returning favourites. Captain Sparkles is back in the virtual cockpit alongside drivers like Ancephalosis, who I will get his name correct at least 3 times this evening, and Aerotech as well. So there is lots to look forward to this evening.
Yeah, many talented drivers, many drivers vying to get their last great result of the season, and for a few drivers still in the championship hunt, such as Vlembar leading the championship at the moment, and EXR Kamakazi. This is their last chance to have a roll of the dice and to secure that win, potentially the championship also.
Indeed, there's one other name up there in the creator standings as well that is quite possibly up there to clinch the title. One is amusing. I don't think we've spoken to him much this season, but definitely up there, 19 points away from where Vlembar stands at the moment. So all could change this evening.
Yes, never say never. It's a very complex rally and prone to quite a few incidents. There's a lot of places where you can get punctures. Also, places where you can unfortunately go off the road and get DNF. So it's going to be a rally where you have to sort of limit your tempo a little bit, ease into the rally. We've also got 3 stages that are confirmed in damp conditions at least. So it's going to be very interesting to see how our drivers cope with, 1, the tyre strategy, and 2, the difference in grip and visibility of those stages.
Yeah, that's very true. I've driven these slightly earlier this afternoon. The wet and the dark stages very much caught me out as we were heading through them. You're eased into the rally by nice dry conditions, some visibility, and then suddenly it gets dark and very, very rainy, and suddenly all of your visibility is pretty much reduced to 0.
Yeah, indeed, we've already got the XR Kamakazi into the first stage here, and as you described, look at the visibility here. It's quite overcast, almost into the evening, I think, on this stage already. So starting as they do on a Thursday evening, just with 1 stage in the dark, and yeah, very tricky conditions. As you can see, very fast rally this. Got a lot of blind crests, a lot of obstacles near the side of the road. Kamikazi just going up slightly on the bank, but it's all about using those limits. You've really got to push the limits to know what you're getting yourself into on this rally.
Yeah, one thing I found from this rally specifically is it's all about getting into that rhythm, getting into that flow. The minute you seem to break it, you lose all the confidence that you have in the corners. But when you're in that zone, when you have the momentum going with you, the car going with you, those pace notes being thrown at you by your co-driver, everything seems to be working in motion as it should be.
indeed. Like we've seen in Rally Poland in real life, the minute you lift off that accelerator pedal for even a split second, you've lost half a second, and then you're trying to gain time back. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in this rally is if you make a mistake, you don't want to push too much to try and gain that time back on a fast rally like this. It's a bit like a tarmac rally. The time is lost, there's nothing you can do about it, you've just got to regain the rhythm, as you said. And that can be very difficult for some of our drivers because they are very competitive. They do this for entertainment, for fun, but they'll never tell you this, but they want that victory. They want that #1 next to their name, and it does have an effect on them.
Oh, exactly that. We saw last season Punju taking the victory over the creator standings. This season, that title has been somewhat threatened by the likes of Kamakazi, Vlembar, Ambient Mike coming in and absolutely showing us how rally should be done on these stages. And Vlembar coming across the line to finish off stage #1. I don't think Kamakazi is too far behind. A brief look down below his chair, but for Vlembar, this could be interesting to see where he puts his first time on the board.
Yes, indeed, and it looks like it's a time within the top 10. I didn't quite catch it, but it looks like he's just in P12, if I can see that correctly. So it's quite a good start. The Zara a little bit off in terms of engine performance, so you'll see his time ebb and flow with the car performance, basically. So this stage very, very fast, so maybe a couple of seconds off pace, but one thing that we can be sure from Kamikaze and from Vlembar is that they are going to go flat out. It is also one thing to note, as you said, that Kamikaze especially is just so cool with his performance, able to look down at the seat while he's driving flat out and just sort of go as if it's a Sunday drive. It's incredible.
Yeah, I don't know how he manages it in the slightest. The minute I take my eyes off the road or the dirt or the gravel in front of me, everything seems to go wrong for me in these rallies. But Kamikaze, as you said, so fast but so calm with it as well. He seems to be at one with his machine, no matter what car he chooses to drive in a given week.
Yeah, we're having a replay here from Vlembar where he is just reviewing a little incident where he got too close to the inside on the bank and clipped the fence on the outside, and very lucky to not give him a puncture there, but obviously not the way you want to start the rally. I think he's got away with that one quite luckily, but that's just a demonstration of how little margin you have on such narrow stages like this.
Yeah, see, Vlembar obviously going back to identify where the mistake was made, potentially see what caused it as well and learn on it for the future stages as well. I want to go over to check in with a couple of our other drivers. Oh no, Kamikaze's had a massive off there. Sorry to flip away last second, top hand side of your screen. You can see he just went off the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, just missed his braking point. A corner there that tightens on the apex quite severely, so you carry a lot of speed into it, braking on this sort of loose volcanic rock that is characteristic of New Zealand. If you get too sideways on it, you just lose all braking ability, and he went straight off the road. Hopefully he doesn't have a puncture from that, but he looks quite disturbed, let's put it that way, pausing right after the finish line. Again, another lapse of concentration. It's happened multiple times this season where you think you've got to the end of the stage. It was quite literally the last corner where you had to brake on the stage. And I think, though, that the time hasn't suffered too much. According to that, I'm seeing P2 on the leaderboard from what I can see. So he's got away with that one. But again, will the damage hamper him?
Yeah, that's the question we'll be asking, especially as we head into the latter stages of this 11-stage rally here in New Zealand. On your screens at the moment, Dark Viper and Punju making their way through stage 2. This is where the rain starts to come in. The tyres will lose any of the grip they had through the first couple of stages, and the driving style almost has to change to a more drift style of driving to make sure that the car can handle correctly.
Indeed, the roads in general of New Zealand are very, very abrasive. Again, that volcanic rock, so they will wear the tires out, maybe a bit less in the sort of wet conditions that we're seeing here. It goes to quite a muddy surface afterwards, so that can be a bit less harsh on the tires. But as you said, with that first stage absolutely flat out, they might have worn down the tires depending on which compound they used. It's interesting to look with 11 stages. You've really got to manage your tires, have a look at what sort of compromise you can make. I think they've only got 3 sets of tires as per usual, so I'm seeing Dark Viper off the road here as well. It looks like he's got lost in all of the bushes and all that. Where is the road? I think it's to the right. It was to the right. He's just missed his braking zone and gone the wrong side of the fence. But as you can see, the and bushes makes it really difficult to find your bearings if you go off.
Yeah, it really does. The shrubbery here in New Zealand can really cause havoc to some of our drivers. And Dark Viper, again, he's been on the WRC program before. He knows what to do, where to look for that beaten track to get back onto. But for this time, it wasn't to be for himself. Punju, though, making his way through so far so good in the Mini Countryman Rally. An unusual choice here this afternoon.
Oh, but a fan favorite. The noise, possibly one of the best noises as he's playing pinball down the roads there, unfortunately, and Dark Viper as well, nearly on his roof. Everything happening. The bonnet going up for Dark Viper as well. Thankfully, it detaches itself rather quickly and he gets away with it, but that could have been a lot worse for him. Aerodynamics are going to suffer from that, but hopefully he's got no serious damage from that as he's off the road again. That's a big one, though, however. Straight into a tree. I couldn't really see what it was, but definitely hit something in there. So that is going to cost him in terms of confidence and in terms of time. Hopefully he can recover it.
Yeah, big instant there for Dark Viper. You can see the windscreen of his Ford Focus already cracked up. So that must have been a big impact to cause that. Hopefully, only minor damage to the rest of the car, but that rain already starting to wreak havoc here in New Zealand. But Dark Viper, if you are here and you're new to the WRC show as well, the reason Viper's display or his screen input to us, actually, scratch that, Punju has completely missed his braking point. He's gone through some of the Marshall tape here.
Yeah, indeed, just missing the braking zone, maybe locking the brakes even. It looked like he just tried to turn and just went straight on through there. Again, symptomatic of the loose surface that we have here in New Zealand. Some of these also junctions are quite blind into them, so you think you've got an extra 50 meters than you have, so it can happen so quickly.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And if you are paying attention to the stream, of course, ignore what it shows on Punju's picture. That is definitely not a Mini Countryman rally car. But for the time being, it will do in terms of lookalike for himself. Dark Viper on the left-hand side, once again, trying to navigate through the hills of New Zealand. Go back to what I was saying. His monitor is HDR monitor. That's why his input to us looks slightly off compared to what it is. But I assure you, he has probably one of the best looking screens out there at the moment. So for himself, he sees every inch of detail here in New Zealand.
Yeah, indeed, and HDR can actually make a huge difference to the visibility in certain conditions. You can pick out the details, you can pick out the little nuances in the road a little bit better, and it can really increase your performance. However, it hasn't really worked out for him so far, and radiator damage I can see now. So he's got a service after this stage. He'll be okay, but definitely not the start he wanted as Punju's across the stage. Going back to the Mini Countryman, a fan favorite really in terms of the noise. It's a real raspy old school noise in a 2011 car, and when it was new to the WRC calendar, it only did half a season as a works team before effective development was pulled due to bad results effectively, but it remains one of the fan favorites and a car that was used for quite a few years in various championships like the British Rally Championship, the Irish Tarmac Championship, and to great effect as well. Punju there just obviously off the pace with a few mishaps, but honestly the pace quite well. The gaps, as you can see, are very, very close.
Yep, across the line he came in the mid-40s, but Valembar having a massive accident.
And a puncture as well. He's not at the end of the stage. This is going to cost him dearly. It's a front right puncture. And I think he just got his line a bit wrong to the insides, trying to take that apex. He might have clipped something. We only got the end of that crash there on the broadcast. So again, it might be a mirror image of what happened during stage one. Just clipping the inside like that, but not getting away with it and hitting something on the outside. And that is a puncture. So easy to do, as I said. And unfortunately fortunately for Vlembar, he has a margin in the championship, but he needs to finish this rally.
Yeah, he does indeed. On the left-hand side, you can see a punju going through the replay of his run. But as you were mentioning, that crash looked very similar to the incident that he had in stage one as well, just clipping one of the sides and almost spinning the car around, this time almost vertically as he went onto his roof ever so slightly. But Vlembar managing to bring that car to the end of the stage. That's what's going to be important. He wants to avoid getting the 90-second tyre repair penalty that will ensue if he stops to repair it now.
Luckily, four-wheel drive cars, so they won't suffer so much. You'll probably lose maybe 30 seconds from where he was on the stage, maybe a little bit more. But as long as that tire remains inflated, I think it still is, or the rubber is still on the tire. I think the tire is just blown there. I saw a little shake from the camera, and yeah, there, the tire is gone. He goes off the road, and that's going to be so much time lost, unfortunately, with a reset penalty. Probably looking now at 45 seconds, if not more. That's a disaster stage. But as long as he can get it to the end, he will have a little bit of repairs and a new set of tires. That will also cost him in terms of tire strategy, because if he has to change the tires, he might have to change to another set of tires.
Yeah, very true. You can see from the onboard graphic, the little prompts that came up on his screen. He didn't bring the spare there, but he's already used his allocation. But even for him, it's now a family favourite returning to the channel is kamakazi.
Yeah, kamakazi in Super 8, so it's a very high-performing car, but he's shaking his head a lot. He doesn't look very happy. I wonder if we've had some sort of incident beforehand. We'll have to wait and see the time, but not the usual smiling kamikaze that we see, and looking a tiny bit flustered in this stage. I wonder if something's happened.
Yeah, very true. You normally see him very smiley, very ecstatic heading through the stages, but that is a focused man, a look of determination as he heads through the stage, just wanting to get to the end there, and a shake of the head to boot as well. That is not a very happy kamikaze.
Yeah, it's well, New Zealand's one of those rallies which is mistake prone, as I said, and usually the incidents, if they do happen, they're quite big. The car looks like in good shape. The time is outside the top 10, so he's definitely had some sort of incident there, but it doesn't look like he lost too much time. Maybe the tire wear or the balance of the cars changed in the wet weather conditions. I know a lot of drivers that do some only dry weather testing, and the setup sometimes can have too much understeer or oversteer. So that could be possible, as we see Dark Viper GT into the third stage at night now. The visibility reduced, as you can see, and this will be a daunting and possibly a rally-defining stage with this difficulty.
Yeah, I can confirm this stage is absolutely terrifying. Topple this. Who is this that's gone around? I think
That was
that
the
Vlembar?
replay of Lembar, so I can confirm what happened. He did hit the inside of the corner again and rolled before he'd even hit the outside and straight into the fence, and that's what gave him the puncture. Unfortunately, he might be ruining that, because that is it puts him on the back foot in terms of performance. He's going to have to produce a well, a picture-perfect rally from this point onwards to just make sure that he goes across the line with enough points to guarantee himself the championship.
Yeah, very true. Of course, our championship leader at the moment, the man who after 7 events has 176 points, 19 points down to second place, so has a comfortable margin behind him. But as you said, the pressure might be slightly getting to him as he heads through the stage. A couple of incidents in the first couple of stages is never a great way to start off. Punju there, hitting some of the inside barriers, not necessarily rally defining, but it might be a bit of a knock to the confidence here.
Well, it's so easy to clip the banks on this rally, because they're quite jagged edges. They're not smooth banks, as you can see, so you can really get stuck on the front bumper or the wheel even, or even the rear bumper if you're sliding through the corner. So you've got to be really, really careful about the width and length of your car. As we see Aerotech off in about the same manner, just clipped the rear of the car on something and then was dragged into the bushes. However, he's got away with it. But you can see very low grip. You can see how much he's fighting with the car, just waiting for it to turn in. Very prolonged, and even then it doesn't turn in, just sliding and with no grip. Maybe the tires have already burned up. Who knows? Maybe on that softer compound, it's not the one to go for.
Yeah, I think that's the question we might be asking when we get Aerotech in for an interview in the mid sort of stage area. Punch on the left-hand side looking a little more calm and collected as things stand. I think the earlier little bumps and knocks may have reset his confidence heading into this stage this afternoon. excuse me, but everyone else making their way through nice and calmly. Punju managing to send that car sideways, but managing to catch it every time.
Oh, he was lucky though. That was nearly a roll. He just corrected in time to save it, but he was on two wheels and he looked a little bit flustered from that. But good driving as usual. Managed to collect it, all calm and collected. So yeah, it's going well. Punju, a driver that sort of likes to work himself into a rally. It's not fastest in the first couple of stages, but the rhythm, the confidence comes to him, and if it does, he can have a really good rally. But also, we've seen some rallies where he's struggled to find the confidence and it's gone from bad to worse. But it looks like he's having a good rally so far.
Yeah, it is. As you've said, Punja is a man of confidence. It will continue to build as he goes through the stages. And at the moment, he's on a little bit of a low, but it will improve. Obviously, a lot of stages to complete here in New Zealand, 11 of them in total, and a couple of them very, very short, quick fire stages. I think around the 2 minute mark later on in the overall rally. So they will be some fantastic ones to watch as our creators essentially bid for milliseconds.
Yes, indeed. It's one of those rallies where you really have to be a perfectionist at a certain type of corner and type of stage. You've seen already for 2.5 stages now that the camber is a huge deal in this rally. You've got a lot of off camber, on camber. You've got to really sort of judge how much speed you can take into the corners. Obviously, we've talked already about the blind crests, blind junctions, and braking zones, but also the type of corner. You've got in most rallies, you've got a change of terrain or variation where you've got hairpins followed by fast corners. In New Zealand, most of it is this medium to high speed, very long corners where you have to chuck the car in at a certain angle and just keep the drift throughout the entire corner and keep that momentum up from corner to corner and choose the line correctly. And that, for certain drivers, especially drivers that like high speed rallies like Finland, Estonia, that comes easily to them. And then for other drivers that like technical rallies, they really tend to struggle in this type of stage, in this type of corner. I know that Kamikaze struggles a tiny bit with this type of event. I've been talking to him before the broadcast a little bit, and so that might be an indication of why he's a bit unhappy with his current pace.
Yeah, I think as you go through certain classes of racing, certain tracks or certain rallies, in this instance, will start to suit a better kind of driver. They work better for their driving style. And as you said, Kamikaze really not finding comfort here in New Zealand, but nonetheless, he's giving it his best shot, and he is still absolutely full foot to the floor, sending it through the hills, and that is what we love to see. He may not enjoy it, but he is putting that car to the absolute maximum that it wants to go to.
Oh, I can guarantee you he 100% enjoys it, even if the rally doesn't go his way. He's one of those drivers that just loves driving everything flat out and just wears his heart on his sleeve, effectively. So he will look and show himself to be annoyed at a situation, but in reality, behind the scenes, he's still loving it. He spent a lot of time fine-tuning the car to make sure that it wasn't understeering a lot. The Impreza 08 on the default setup understeers quite a bit, but as you can see from his POV, this car is oversteering and he can keep it right to the apex there, right exactly where he needs it to be. And so far this stage is flowing beautifully.
Yeah, he's managing it really well. Obviously, you can see from his display, he's running the ultra-wide monitor, so it gets the maximum view. But of course, that makes it look like he is travelling at 1,000,000 miles an hour through the hills of New Zealand. Encephalosis, congratulations to me, I've got his name right once again. In the bottom left-hand side of your screen, just heading through, I believe that's stage 2 or stage 3, of course, with the heavy rain. Vlembar on the right-hand side, once again, finding a little bit of discomfort with the hills on the left-hand side, and that car almost reaching 90 degrees.
Yeah, Vlembar really producing an unexpected result for the moment. I expected him to be right on pace and sort of in fight for the victory. However, we've seen this before in real life where driver has one rally to go, just needs to secure a top 5 or top 6 finish, so they back off the pace. And unlike in a circuit race where if you've got a margin for error and you start to go off the boil and you make a few mistakes, here you can really make yourself in a lot of trouble effectively if you start to back off the pace, because the lines are different, the speed you're carrying into the corner is different, and so all of the techniques that you used before suddenly don't work anymore. And so sometimes for a driver, it's actually better to push during the stages as if it's just another rally, rather than back off and say, I'm just securing the points on this one, because it can work to your disadvantage.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Back on board with Punju, and he's managing to make his way through nice and calmly. You can see, I think he's done a lot of racing over the weekend. He was doing a 24-hour race last time I checked up on him, so maybe a little bit of sleep deprivation coming in for himself here in the WRC event, but nonetheless, giving it his all. One thing we haven't really talked about so far over the course of this rally is the really thin bridges that quite often pop up on these rallies. Quite often with no border left or right of them, so you've got to hit them with absolute precision.
Yes, not only that, but the barriers that you've just seen and the fences there as well, they appear out of nowhere sometimes, and it gives you a fright when all of a sudden your headlights are just shining this fence in your eyes. It can really throw off. It can lead to you overcorrecting the car and in avoidance and actually having a huge accident because of it. So yes, a lot of this rally in very rural areas with no towns or even houses to speak of. So you've really got to keep your wits about you, and obviously, with all of these blind crests, as you said, like the narrow bridges are a real nightmare. Also, the change of surface. Some of them are tarmac, others are just wooden bridges. So the tires gripping onto the bridge sometimes can send your car in either understeer or oversteer. Depending on how you hit the bridges. So you've really got to set the car up properly, calculate the speed, and figure out what's going to happen to the car.
Yeah, exactly that. There's a lot of mental calculations. Punju gets it all wrong. His rear clips one of those markers on the rear right and spins his car a complete 180, and then he overcorrects it, sending himself into the trees. And that's an 8-second reset penalty. That's really going to hamper him.
Yeah, indeed. I think the rear end caught the finishing board, or the 1 mile board, which is just to indicate that you're getting to the end of the stage. Sadly, I think for Punju, he would have wanted that to be the actual finish line so he could register the time. But very easy to do. They're quite solid as well, so if you clip them, you are going to be spun around. They don't easily move, and they're across the line. But yeah, that reset penalty will be quite annoying, because he'd recovered the car. All he needed to do is spin it round, but just a bit too much throttle, and instead he spun off the road. Let's have a look at the damage done. Yeah, it's been quite a bad stage for Punju. Still in the top 100, but I know he'll be frustrated at that. You can see that a little bit in his face there. But 44 seconds off the pace, that is not a bad result. It's a very, very fast category of cars. So, it's routine for, if you haven't practiced the stage, to be maybe 20 seconds off a world record pace. So it's still not a bad time at all.
No, not at all. And of course, Punju is a man that strives for perfection in every single rally that he attempts to do. We're being told by chat there's no board there. That's earlier a bad vegetation hitbox in those crests. So that's potentially what Punju may have came in contact with before coming across the line. But on your screens at the moment is Vlembar coming up to course, a similar point where Punju was just mere seconds ago.
Indeed, indeed. And not having the issues so far, it seems to be going smoothly for once. But yes, I can confirm it was not a finished board. It was a tree that was the contact made there. My apologies. So yes, it's Vlembar's looking like he's sort of found a rhythm now, and he'll say probably way too late into the stage. There is the board there. So yeah, just a couple of corners earlier. But yeah, looking at the handling of the car, it's actually working very well. The inputs are not erratic anymore, so everything is running okay. And same for Kamakazi as well. It looks like everything is in order. No damage that I can see, and they are both hurtling through. Oh, and Vlembar. Oh, that could have been such a bad one. Just kicking up the rear of the car onto the sort of the side of the road, and lucky to not roll it there, just recovering it. But my God, heart in mouth moment right at the end of the stage once again for Vlembar.
Yeah, very much so. He did an excellent job being able to catch that right at the end there. And across the line he comes. Let's try and see where he finishes. Is that P4 I see on our screen?
Not
Fantastic.
That is actually a very, very good time. And considering he lost 2-3 seconds, as we see Kamikaze's off the road as well, recovered it just as well, just hitting a small tree there. The tire wear and the grip must be fading really, really fast for these drivers. That's the only explanation I have for it, really.
Yeah, potentially quicker than they were anticipating as well. Kamikaze is not usually one to get caught out by tyre deg, especially from what we've seen over the last couple of weeks here at the EA Creator Series on your screens at the moment. Punju and Dark Viper heading out for what I'm going to guess is stage 3 or stage 4.
I would guess stage 4. I think they have completed stage 3 already, as Kamikaze is just about to complete stage 3 himself, and he's running behind them. Just want to make a quick shout out as well for Ambient Mike, who we saw briefly on the leaderboard in the Mini Countryman. So one of the regular drivers who's already set his times through here. Blistering pace, however, I think he made a mistake and got a DNF on the first stage. So an unfortunate result, but his pace after that was stellar. So once again, another driver sort of depicting how difficult it is to complete this rally faultless.
Yeah, we've had so many drivers heading heading into this broadcast over the past few weeks. It's been fantastic. We'll give them all a shout out at the end, but for the time being, let's focus on. Oh yeah, he is.
Sorry,
indeed.
Punju has had a spin in there just at the start of the stage. Again, another. We seem to be seeing. Sorry to interrupt you there, TK, but we seem to be seeing a pattern here where each driver is just clipping the inside apex of the corner on the banks and is spinning round.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit of over anticipation, trying to cut the corner as much as they can, gain that crucial little bit of time. And in reality, it's actually biting them a little bit more, and they are losing a considerable amount of time as a result of that.
Indeed, it can be due to the surface as well. Sometimes you have to turn in a little bit early because you've got a bit of understeer, and then the one corner, paradoxically, where you want the understeer to kick in because you've turned in early, that's when it turns, and then you're in all sorts of trouble, because at such a high speed, if you have a hesitation or you have to correct the line, and you don't put on the brakes or slow down at all, it can throw you offline for the next corner, and you can get a pendulum effect going where you're just steering, correcting, counter steering, and then getting yourself into even more trouble for the next corner. And what can happen is a really small incident that is very recoverable on one corner, 3 corners later can turn into a rally ending incident just because you don't back off. And I think that some of these drivers are trying to push the line a lot more, push the acceleration as much as possible and keep it flat out over these crests, and they might be getting themselves in trouble, obviously unintentionally, but it's such an easy mistake to make, to think that you can recover it, essentially.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It seems to sometimes go fishtail after fishtail after fishtail, and all you have to do is a little dab on the brakes, just back off that slight bit. But obviously, when you're racing against people like this, every millisecond counts. And I think if you're not thinking ahead, thinking of the bigger picture, that's where it really comes into it. You want to keep that car going as fast as you can, and you don't want to lose the time by applying the brakes, slowing that car down, and essentially losing those milliseconds. But on your screens at the moment, Aerotech and Punju sliding the car and almost having an uncomfortable meeting with a New Zealand hill.
That incident or semi-incident started about 3 corners earlier, where once again he got a huge slide, sort of snap oversteer, and then corrected it, snap oversteer into the next corner. And then he saw a junction coming up, so flat on the brakes, and yeah, nearly up the bank there, but he recovered it very, very well. Impressive. For Aerotech, it's just gone a little bit wrong. My God, what a save as well. Once again, so lucky. Also, you could call it skill, that's for sure. But he just got the corner a little bit wrong, tapped the rear, and then was up on the bank. It's again, that is the characteristic incident that will happen because there's such a narrow margin of error here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We briefly saw Dark Viper almost having a very similar incident. The rear just kicked off one of the hills on the left-hand side. The car tried to fishtail, but very fortunately, he was able to catch it before it became anything serious. And that was almost another moment by Dark Viper. The rear once again stepping out on him.
Yeah, it's heart and mouth moment, just every single corner at this point for all of our drivers. I strongly think that A lot of the drivers have taken the softer compound for 4 stages. It's looking like that might be a strategy because of the, well, 3 stages in the rain that we've had consecutively. So those tires will be looking very much second-hand, and obviously the confidence will sort of dwindle away effectively with that tire wear. It can change the balance of the car because you can get more tire wear on the front or rear, and so the setup that did work at the start no longer works with the tire wear.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I apologise there. A brief chuckle from a message in chat. The Baconator's come in and said, "Holy visibility," and that is just such a great comment to sum up what our drivers are going through at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. Recreating the blind attack from a certain series. And yeah, they're definitely just. I think sometimes, with the lack of visibility and almost the shimmering effect that you get from the rain, some drivers are almost tempted to turn off their headlights completely, as we've seen sometimes from Kamikazi, for example. If the visibility is good, and Kamikaze's off. As soon as I talked about Kamikaze, I just noticed he wasn't on the road anymore. I think he's miscalculated a junction there and has just gone completely the wrong way. That's really at the start of the stage. So the incidents that we are seeing at the moment are either right at the start or right at the end of stages. Very bizarre to have that happen. Most of the time, it's when you've settled into a rhythm and something unsettles that rhythm. But our drivers apparently not even having that chance to get into that rhythm.
Yeah, I think that's a very rare mistake that we've seen from Kamikaze here this afternoon. And as you said, I think the rain coming in so early to these stages, encephalosis on the bottom left of your screens again, finding one of the hills, but the rain's come in so quick and so fast. The darkness as well, really encapsulating the New Zealand hills here. It's really thrown off any driver's plans to be able to take maybe the first couple of stages, get themselves settled in, and then really put pedal to the metal, and then yeah, it's just disrupted all of the plans.
Yeah, one good thing though about Ancephalosis is his driving style is very old school. You can see him really chuck the car into the corners on the handbrake. So that will actually help him in these wet weather conditions, because if the car is understeering, you just go in on the handbrake, sort of reverse entry into every single hairpin, and that way you're guaranteed to not have any understeer. It's one way of doing it. Just clipped the inside of the bank, and I thought that was heading straight into the trees. And to add insult to injury, that's a 5-second corner cut penalty. That has not gone well, but it looks like the car is running really low to the ground. That's twice in 3 corners that he's clipped something on the inside. So maybe a setup problem with the car. But in any case, that was very, very lucky and well recovered, I must say.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Heading through the hills on board with Vlemba, I think once again through the left hand we go, and then these are some really tight turns to finish off the stage. You go tight left, square right, square left, and then over crest pretty much until the finish, and then you're immediately hit with a 1 and a 2. Don't cut on the inside. You can see those fence posts, those don't cut markers. You go from a very, very quick rally to some very tight and technical corners, and Vlemba's in the trees.
It's not working, is it? You have to say that. He's struggling with the changes of rhythm right now. I said that there are very few changes of rhythm, but when they happen, they catch you off guard. And I think he's just trying to carry the speed out of the corner. The front tires just went, nope, I've got no grip left, and into the trees once again. Vlembar struggling, it must be said, and I think all of our drivers struggling more than I expected. Off camera as well, and Cephalosis has had a huge recovery as well, where he spent about 5 seconds completely sideways, hanging halfway off of the edge of the road, but he's recovered it as well, and he's reached the end of the stage here. You can see the relief, the sheer relief in his face right there. I'm sure he'll be happy to get back to some clear weather driving, put it that way.
Yeah, very much so. I reckon it's about time that we start having a chat with some of our drivers here on the broadcast. And who better to start off with than our Season 1 champion, Mr. Punju Eli Singh himself. Punju, welcome into the commentary box. How's the stages going for yourself?
I will say I am doing a lot better than I'm enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun.
Is
Amazing
the
stuff.
grip worse than you expected? We've seen a lot of moments from both yourself and other drivers. It seems like there is absolutely zero grip out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's entirely as imaginary as my friend when I was in kindergarten. It does not exist, honestly. It's a little bit rough, but honestly, I think the rain has been like definitely a great equalizer. it's changed up the driving style, and like a lot of people that are like the time trial sweats and like usually are like focusing really hard, like it's definitely slowed them down and made them play a little bit more cautious, which has been great because it gives me a chance, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
What do you think is the most difficult part of it then? The stuff that's catching people off guards? Is it the terrain, or is it just the grip in general? Is it the blind crests? What do you think?
I mean, honestly, this stage, like Oceania in general, is a lot of blindness. Like, especially the downhill bits of like the first half of those last two stages. That downhill is really difficult. Add in the rain makes it even worse. And so I think, just in general, so far it's been the rain. I think as it evolves, it's going to be the blindness of all the rest of these stages. But at the beginning of this, with the rain for day one, which now obviously after your second service, it's like the simulated day two. It's going to get a lot easier when it comes to the weather, but that means people are going to push harder and make more mistakes from the blindness. So I think it's all that, honestly, more than anything else.
Great analysis. I
Yeah.
couldn't say any more, to be fair. So
I
what's your plan?
think, try my best to survive, honestly. I put in 4 pretty good stages, all of them top 100. So I just got to keep that going. I mean, the last one was 27th, which was crazy. So I just got to keep locked in, not make silly mistakes, and just play it smooth, cool, calm, and collected. And I think I got a decent chance at like some surprisingly good results today. I got new tires on right now as well, so even better. Like, good results. Yeah, who knows? New tires on right now as well. Ready to go get it.
Amazing stuff. Well, you go get it, Punji. We won't delay you much longer here in the commentary box. And best of luck for what is about to come.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
See you soon. Oh, fantastic. Always great to chat to, isn't he, Punji?
He's always downplaying his abilities. It's
Yeah.
quite intriguing for me because I don't think he realizes how good a driver he is. He's competing against some of the best in the world, and he's not even putting much practice in compared to some people, and yet he's setting top 20 stage times sometimes. You know, you've got to give credit to him.
Yeah, the man is absolutely rapid when it comes to anything rally here this afternoon. He, as you said, does barely any practice, but yet turns up week in, week out, puts it on a considerable time, always top 100, if not top 20. And there is an absolute reason why he was our Season 1 champion here.
Most definitely. His consistency in that Season 1 was enough to well, just romp away with the championship effectively. Just the other drivers having crashes and incidents and costing themselves points. And, you know, Punju just drove his own rallies and didn't really mind himself with the stage times of other people. And it just that puts sort of a lot of strength into his character, basically, in terms of just being able to focus on his own driving, and that is emphasized by how much development he's made actually as a rally driver. He's got so much faster and is able to compete for those top times now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Obviously, speaking back to Season 1, you came in at the start of round 3, and you only were 34 points off him at the end. I promise I won't keep bringing you up in these broadcasts. But of course, you now stand only 19 points behind Vlembar at the moment. Surely you'll be looking to take the crown away from some of our racers here this afternoon.
Well, I only have one setting, and it's called If in Doubt, Go Flat Out. So most definitely, never tell me the odds, that's for sure. But you know, you've got to also acknowledge who you're racing against. You're racing against some highly talented individuals, and although Vlembar's had a bad start to the rally, it's far from over, and he can still recover to gain enough points to effectively make any other people's participation in the championship irrelevant in terms of winning it. So he can still secure the victory no matter what.
Yeah, he can indeed. On your screens at the moment, you can see Ancephalos has taken the meaning of being down under rather literally, and he is driving that Subaru Impreza on his roof. Oh no, he's spun. I think I'm trying to figure out. He's managed to save it though.
What a save! I cannot believe what I have just seen. He's just spun all the way round and just recovered it as if nothing happened. I think just another one of those incidents where it's just gone a little bit wide and clipped the bank of Lembar, also clipping a fence there. People just not, even though they've got fresh tires on the car, I think they're struggling still to find that limit, find that grip, and it's catching them out. But so far, no big incidents in the second day of running.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for them so far. Obviously, the light is starting to shine here in the Oceanic Hills, a fantastic venue for what has been a send-off to season 2, and everybody managing to make their way through pretty much without major incidents. We haven't seen any retirements yet, but I'm sure the best is yet to come. The hills are unforgiving here. Quite often, if you overextend them, shall we say, you may find yourself being recovered to the next stage. Ancephalosis just testing the inner limits there, maybe just teasing with the hills.
Yeah, I think he's driving a 4x4 truck at this point in terms of recoveries. It's quite impressive to watch, but I'm sure he'll want a smoother couple of stages now. One thing that I can also note is he's damaged his front bonnet there, and that can have a huge difference in terms of visibility there and in terms of distraction. You can see it just flapping about in the breeze. And it can really distract you over a crest where you need that extra couple of centimeters of visibility. So we'll have to wait and see if that has a detriment. It doesn't look like he has any grip, though. We've gone back to dry running now in the stages, and it just looks as if that car is understeering a lot for him now. So once again, the setup can change a lot. I was going to emphasize, actually, but there's so much that's happened already. I haven't had the chance to yet, so I'll take my opportunity as Amphicefalosis again in the fence. And was that did he hit something, or was that a puncture? I think it just hit something, but there was a bizarre effect there on screen. Looks like he's okay. But the reason why this rally is so revered by drivers is that the Asia Pacific Championship, as Ancephalosis, is having a very bad time in this stage, clipping a barrier as well off our screen. But the Asia Pacific Championship has been used to develop drivers, especially in the 80s and 90s, with Subaru entering at least 2 cars for young drivers. And as Amphicephalus is spinning now down the bank, I'm not sure if we can get that on our cameras for you, but he's had quite a bad couple of corners here, just spinning off into the foliage. So the manufacturers entered a lot of young drivers into this championship because of these roads. They force you to develop your abilities as a driver, your preventive abilities, your ability to recover the car, manage the tires, manage the car. And so it was very successful for people like Alistair McRae, like Richard Burns, and even recently for homegrown drivers like Hayden Paddon, who comes from New Zealand and able to utilize these roads to make sure that they are fully prepared for a season.
Yeah, of course. Hayden Paddon winning 3 times in the last kind of 5 runnings of this championship. Of course, back in when it wasn't officially part of the World Rally Championship, but nonetheless still counts as a win. Winning it twice in the Hyundai i20 and once in the Subaru Impreza WRX. Still one of my favourite cars when it comes to World Rally. But on board with Kamakazi once again. He looks like he's chilled out a little bit here, Isaac.
Yeah, he looks a lot more calm and collected. This is the type of the face that we're used to seeing, just very neutral, very in control of everything, but also very concentrated and committed to every corner. The explanation I can find for that is most of the testing we do is in the dry. And I think now his setup's working properly. He's got the new set of tires on the car, so it's effectively a reset for your driving. And that will be helpful for a lot of drivers, just to sort of make sure that all of those incidents are behind them, hopefully, and they can start afresh.
Yeah, exactly right. Kamikaze is one that is quite easily able to put past stages behind him, just focus on the good, focus on the here and now, and that is what makes him such a good driver. I think this is one of the very short stages on the rally. Look at how fast he's coming across the line. I think that was about a 4-minute time. I'm not 100% able to confirm that. We'll wait and see where he stands on the leaderboard, though. My eyesight is nowhere near good enough. That looks about 22nd to my eyes.
Yeah, it looks like I noticed some bonnet damage, so it might be that he had a little bit of an off that we did not see on cameras, or that I might have missed. But it looks like he's had some sort of incident in there, and so disregard what I said previously, I guess.
Yeah, we're being told Punju had quite a lot of damage as he was coming across the first few stages. That mini countryman, aka the Citroen Zara at WRC, as it's showing on your screens at the moment, taking a fair considerable amount of damage. The cross-generation car not quite working out for himself, but he's really testing the limits of the mini, and by goodness, what a fantastic sound it makes.
Yeah, it is what I term an old school car. Obviously, the change of regulations happened in 2011, and I think this is the only car that we have that demonstrates it. It has no central differential. Most of the cars in this category will have some sort of central differential to help you with traction, help you with mid-corner grip. This is literally differential on the front axle, the rear axle, and you've got to make do with it. Same for the Rally 1 cars. You had the WRC as Punju's off the stage a little bit, just up the bank and recovered it. My God, that was very, very. Dark Viper's off as well into the bushes. Is not gone well. Punju, I think, has just taken a moment to pause to gather his thoughts a little bit. Yeah, it looks like it. I don't blame him at all. That was a huge save. But for Dark Viper, it's not going well at the moment. Going back to what I was sort of saying about the cars, it can be really difficult sometimes with a lack of central differential to regulate your throttle and your mid-corner speed, because the car wants to either understeer or oversteer. And with no central differential, all you can do is basically get on the handbrake or on the brakes to try and control the car. So cars like the C4, the Subaru 08, basically any car that is not 2011 specs, it has a central differential that you can adjust, and that is really a good help for driving. The Rally 1 cars don't have a central differential, which is their main difference from the WRC 2017 to 2021 cars.
Yeah, exactly right. I wonder if we can get Kamakazi in for a quick chat. No, he's just muted up, so cancel that plan. We will let him drive. Ooh, I don't know. He's unmuted again. Let's see if we can get him in very, very quickly. There we go. Kamakazi, I think we just caught you before you went off on your stage. Talk us through how the first few stages have gone for yourself.
Stage 1 and Stage 2 went really good. Then we had a stupid roll on Stage 3. We got a puncture at the second to last turn in Stage 1 as well. So, but yeah, we had pace to win it, but we just concentrate to get to finish and a good result. So yeah, last stage was the Stage 3 or 4, or what you call it. It was good until the end. We touched the bank with the rear and just catapult into the forest. So yeah, I don't know why or how, but we did it.
If it's any consolation for you, I will say this: every single other driver has been struggling for grip, with no explanation for it as well. So it's looking like just the conditions catching everyone out. So in terms of the Creator Series results, you might actually still be on for a win.
I'm not sure for that, but yeah, we can do it. Lemba are doing good as well. And I have seen your pace in here, so I'm a little bit concerned, but we will try pushing, and if we go to DNF, we go to DNF, but we still have fun anyway.
Yeah, I've asked this question to Punju before, but I'll ask it again because it's very interesting to get different perspectives. What's the most difficult in New Zealand? What's catching you out specifically?
Today is the night stages because I have moved from my basement, dark basement. Now I have bright sun in my face, so I need between the stages now. I need to get my wife to hang up a blanket for the window, so now it's completely dark. So that was my biggest problem. But on New Zealand is the banking. You never, yeah, I don't know where my ass is, and yeah, you got catapult into the air or to the fence or in the forest. So
Yeah, couldn't have said it better. Great explanation.
Fantastic stuff, Kamikaze. Well, we won't hold you too long. We'll let you head off to your next stages. Best of luck with the blanket blocking out the sun as well. And I'm sure we'll chat to you at the end, mate.
thank you. I will push for you guys.
Thank you. Amazing stuff.
Good stuff. As I've just seen, Dark Viper had an incident there, just spinning around just before the finish line. Once again, mistakes happening toward the finish line there. A lot of people will laugh at what Kamikaze said. Actually, most computer screens do not like sunlight on them. And so if you've got that reflection in your eyes and you literally cannot see anything, I've had it happen to me before on both at competitive events and at home. So it is definitely no joke that when you can't see the road, you can't perform.
Yeah, you're very true. I'm not sure if anyone was watching my camera too closely when he cut back to our faces. My room has quite a few windows surrounding it. So doing this at midday on my lunch break was probably not the smartest of ideas. I couldn't see anything in front of me.
Viewing is optional. You've just got to push the accelerator pedal, turn the wheel in one direction, and hope for the best sometimes in rally. That's just the way it is.
It's what I like to call the Stevie Wonder approach. I just went for it and see how we held on. But going back to our creators here, Kamakazi absolutely sending it through. The visibility has improved, and I think he's getting his mojo back.
Yeah, I still don't think he's happy though with the visibility. He was adjusting his glasses, and it could be also. I will point this out. It could be a reflection of his glasses rather than the screen. That's another thing that can go wrong. As Vlembar's had a huge accident. Vlembar off the road. Not only a penalty, but huge damage to the car. He's lost the door, and I'm not sure if he has a puncture or not. But that car is not going to be driving straight at all. Basically just, I think, misjudged the pace note, and he went at least 20 to 30 kilometers per hour too fast into the corner, just straight off the road. I will say lucky to not get a DNF there, because it is possible in certain sections of this event.
Yeah, it looked like a massive hit. But of course, in rally, we don't call them accidents. We don't call them losing a bit of bodywork. That is simply advanced weight-saving techniques that we've seen on display here in New Zealand. And Cephalosis exploring that in a slightly different way by choosing to remove the bonnet off of his car, and an extra few grams, making that Subaru even lighter here.
Yeah, indeed. A permanent joke would be to, improve the cooling of the car. Although paradoxically, in real life, that's not even true, because they have ducts on the inside of the bonnets to scoop air into the car. So it can actually paradoxically lead to overheating, especially on modern cars. So it's not good for aerodynamics, not good generally. The best thing to do is keep to the road, but that's easier said than done, obviously.
Yeah, in a brief intermission, I think Dark Viper's in his repair era at the moment. I wonder if we're able to pull him in and have a quick chat with him just in a couple of moments' time. Viper, welcome in to the commentary box. We can see your Ford Focus looking rather beaten up after its challenge itself in New Zealand.
It'll buff out. It'll buff out. That's all I'm saying.
That's the main thing, isn't it? Just keeping the car alive, as they say. You seem to have had a few high-speed offs. Do you have any idea how those happened?
I just wasn't paying attention. Like every time I've crashed, right, I've just not been paying attention to like what my co-driver's saying to me. It started off really well. Can we just acknowledge that? Like I was 77th at the time. Like I've been like having some good stages and then downhill stages, highs and lows.
There's a famous saying in rally, and I think it might have been Marcus Grönholm that said it, but I'm not quite sure now. The speed was okay, the corner was too tight. So that's a perfect explanation for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm use that one next time. Oh man, I shouldn't have said anything. I was like, "Oh, Punju, I'm coming for you this week," and I was like only like 5 places behind him. And then
What, speaking of that, what is your target or revised target now for this uphill? Oh, that's a massive off for Kamakazi on the screen. But yeah, where are you aiming for?
I never actually had like my usual aim is just to be B-Roy, and B-Roy's not here, so I'm so lost this week.
Well, you can, as he proclaimed in our little cool down room, I have taken the Agent of Chaos spot for this afternoon. I'm 186th in the championship, so try and beat me.
Oh, light work. I actually don't know about that. How did you do?
Like, it went okay. I tried to do it in the bright sunlight, so I couldn't see anything through the through the dark stages.
Oh, so if you do beat me, this is like really bad on my end.
It could be.
Right, pay attention, because I'm locked in now. I can't listen to
Well, best of luck to you, Viper, and I'm sure we'll see the 187th place person at the end of the rally.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Best of luck, pal. Best of luck. Oh, fantastic.
Strangely personal in the interviews here now.
I love how Viper always tries to just pretend to like mug me off. I know what you're doing, Viper. I can see the chat. I can see you on screen, and you're not as subtle as you think you are. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, well, everybody has their technique of trying to use the psychological advantage. Some drivers do it more subtly than others. Unfortunately, one driver that's not psychologically using all of the advantage, Kamakazi in this stage, has had at least 3 offs, and it is looking like the car is very heavily damaged. And it's not well. He seemed to be confident in terms of sort of getting the pace, but he said sometimes can't see the road. So maybe it was another one of those things that with the tree line, with the banks casting a shadow over the stage, maybe another one of those incidents.
Yeah, I think a couple of mistakes maybe not going his way. Sometimes you can recover quite well from them. This time, though, not looking to be. And I think this is one of the really short stages that Kamakazi is attempting at the moment. It seems to be in the blistering pace that he's just completed it in. And there's 2 of them back to back. They're like 2-minute stages, if that. And if you make a mistake there, it's all but goodbye to the top 10 positions.
Yeah, some of the fastest stages. There's 2. I think we're doing them back to back. To be fair, the 2 fastest stages, which Kamikaze's just completed the first one, and Punju is already into and Dark Viper already into the second ones there. So most definitely, if you make a mistake on the very fast sections, you've got no chance to sort of mentally reset. You've just got to start attacking, a bit like in Rally Finland. You just got to push the accelerator, go for it again, and just hope for the best. But obviously, that's a double-edged sword. It can go well, but you can also have another huge accident behind it, basically.
Yeah, very, very true. The shorter stages sometimes will lead to the inclination of wanting to try and push the car a little bit over its limits, where sometimes smoother is faster, especially when it comes to rally. And if you make those over adjustments, send the car a little bit too hard, especially where you've got such narrow confinements, as you can see on Punju's screen at the moment. Fence on the left, pretty much hills on the right-hand side, now fence on both sides. This can quite easily lose you seconds upon seconds as you try and deal with the consequences of your own actions.
Yeah, the stage preparation, very, very important when you've got such a fast-flowing stage and also some blind crests. It reminds me of a little anecdote from the Loeb era of rallying. This is before people started watching onboard videos and before onboard videos of previous rallies were readily available. So what Sebastian Loeb would do, because obviously nowadays, for context, every single driver watches the footage, and what Rovanpera was complaining of in the Rally Poland is he didn't have time, drafted in as a replacement for Ogier. He didn't have the time to look at the videos, as Aerotech's just gone over the bank, but it's at the end of the stage. A flat-out finish, and you've barely got time, as we were seeing from Punju as well, barely time to stop the car. So back to the anecdote. Loeb was one of the first drivers, I think, that actually started watching onboards, looking for a little bit of detail. And paradoxically, he chose the opposite strategy. He looked at one of the longer stages of the rally, and what he'd do is he'd watch the replay multiple times and attack exclusively on that stage, save the tires and all that, and build. It was frequent to build a 20-30 second lead on that stage, and then cruise at a mid-pace, still attacking obviously, but cruise at a mid-pace through the short stages, where the other drivers would push maximally to try and catch up to him, and that's why the other drivers made a lot of mistakes afterwards. And so a genius strategy, really, if you think about it. But it can, psychologically, if you set fast times on a long stage, the drivers will try and push a lot more to catch up.
Yeah, exactly correct. I think it goes back to those mind games that you spoke of at the start of the broadcast, trying to get in your opponent's head, and it clearly worked for Loeb here. The benefit from the long stages outweighed the loss that he had at the short stage, and that is pure masterclass from himself. On your screens at the moment, Ancephalopoulos and Kamakazi making their way through, I believe, the reverse of the very quick stages that we saw. Ancephalopoulos unfortunately having some internet issues, but Kamakazi almost up to the finish line, looking a little bit smoother here on the non-stop stage.
Indeed, yeah, it's looking like it's going well so far. Only a few corners to go, and very flat out as the rest of the stage has been. In fact, it's flat out here to the finish. Just plant it, get on the rev limiter, lift off after the finish line, and hope you don't hit the bank at the end. You're just about to go over the crest here, past the first announcement, and then past the finish line, and hopefully get on the brakes and get it stopped. He has indeed got it stopped just. But I just want to shout out Punju as well. Only 5 seconds off the pace on that very, very fast stage, and he's about to do the reverse of it now, so we'll be able to watch his start here. And it looks like for Kamikaze, he's on a double-digit time here. I can't quite see. I think that's a top 20 time, but it looks like he's lost even more pace through there, which is intriguing. Maybe
Yeah, not quite sure what went wrong for him. Of course, there's very small room for error, and I think obviously what you said, you can try and overcorrect in these short stages. Maybe that's what he's tried to do, as Punju has a little bit of a clip with the wall on the inside, but maybe Kamikaze's tried to push a little bit too hard in this stage. He'll watch the replay, try and figure out what went wrong, and Punju hasn't quite found his rhythm yet either.
Now it's so easy also to get a double puncture there, because what happens is the rear hits first. So you get that massive collision impact with the tyre on the rear. And then as soon as that happens, the front gets drawn wide understeering. And then you can hit the front as well with a huge impact and get a double puncture, if not worse. So it's very important to try and minimize those incidents and reduce the speed as much as you can. But it's the nature of the stage, really. You want to carry the momentum as much as possible. There's not too many heavy braking zones, and so you want to just drift through the corner to the outside as much as possible, carry all of those kilometers per hour, because any speed that you scrub off, you have to carry it onto the next straight, and straight into the signpost as well. That was a lucky recovery there. Could have gone a lot worse, but he just got a glancing blow on that signpost. And I think Punju will be wanting this stage to be over as soon as possible. But it's going well, though. The pace is good. Just a few errors in the line, maybe a bit of tire wear even. The car is understeering quite a bit.
Yeah, it's going all right at the moment. I think very fortunate, as you said, not to get more punctures, if any, that he's got at the moment. But I want to just take you back to something you were saying. You mentioned the double puncture is something that our drivers have to watch out for. Have there been many kind of reoccurrences of even a triple or a quadruple puncture?
From personal experience, because I definitely never crash, but from personal experience, hypothetically, it has happened once or twice, possibly, that a triple puncture might happen. But definitely double punctures are quite an occurrence on very narrow rallies like New Zealand, like Scandia. It can happen very easily. Punju there, less than 10 seconds off the pace on that stage. So again, a very good stage time, despite the occurrences of a few minor incidents.
Yeah, I had a really good run on the stage before this, the forward, shall we call it, instead of the reverse. And then I jumped to the start, and that gave me 10-second penalty. So I was on for a really good time. And then everything was unwound before I even started the stage, because I got too eager and thought my lap time was going well. And yeah, that 10-second penalty really didn't come in, but you can see how close the the sector times are here not on Punju's screen, on Dark Viper's screen. As he kind of come across the line, finishes up the stage. It is a hair's breadth between drivers.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely on the high-speed rallies, a bit like on the tarmac rallies, the gaps are shrunk a lot because you don't have those heavy braking zones where people tend to lose a lot of time. And most drivers, because of being used to circuit racing games, they're used to carrying the speed into the corners. So paradoxically, although it takes a lot more confidence to drive a high-speed rally, they're also a lot better at it because they can use the trail braking skills, they can use the weight transfer skills to actually drive a lot better lines. And so that means the gaps shrink rapidly. And the thing that makes the difference normally in a rally like this is mistakes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Mistakes can quite often lead to more mistakes. It's a phrase that I quite often take from Formula One. Safety cars lead to safety cars. Here in rally, mistakes quite truly lead to mistakes. We'll stay on board with Vlemvar for a little bit as they head through one of the fastest stages, that sub 2-minute stage, quite possibly. And let's see where they can put that Citroen on top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, it's also another stat to back up that feeling of the times being very close. This is Rally New Zealand has been a witness to the closest rally finish ever between Marcus Grönholm and Sebastian Loeb in 2007, where a super special stage, so a spectator stage at the end of the rally, decided the rally. Marcus Grönholm winning that stage and propulsing himself into the lead by only 0.3 of a second over a rally that had taken multiple hours to complete. So you'd think that a tarmac rally would produce the fastest or the closest finish. Nope, it was a gravel rally.
So for those of those people at home, definitely not talking about myself here, that may be new to rally, what is a super special stage, aka spectator stage, and what does it have different to say a normal run out?
So most of the time, think of Race of Champions. You have two lanes, two drivers competing against each other, normally in a stadium or like a rallycross section. Hence the name of spectator stage. Sometimes it can be a course in like a park somewhere with like an access road or something like that. Usually run at the start or the end of a rally, essentially.
Fascinating to know. I know Race of Champions is an absolutely fantastic spectacle. I think we saw a super special stage a couple of rallies ago. I can't quite remember what it was. I think it was potentially Japan, but I might be absolutely incorrect with what I'm saying here. But yeah, those spectator ones, from what I've seen, especially on social media, look absolutely insane, and one I'd love to go watch in real life.
Oh, Dark Viper. Sorry to interrupt that. Dark Viper straight into the bank, and it was a huge incident. Just the car stopped, just straight into the bank, dunk, and just no speed. Not even up the bank or anything. That's going to be damage, unfortunately, to the suspension, quite possibly. Back to the spectator stages, as we watch Dark Viper just try and recover a little bit of the feeling. It looks like he's got a huge amount of understeer, which would have contributed to that incident. We had spectator stages in Poland around I think it was a rallycross track potentially, and it was run at the end of every single day apart from Sunday. So very important actually for rallies to have spectator stages. There's a lot of they're universally disliked by some of the hardcore fans, but very important in terms of both ticket sales, but also in terms of the amount of spectators that you can have on the rally.
Yeah, very correct. That mini that just came up on your screens there for a brief. Badly damaged that car was running, and I think it went along something with the caption of, let me try and find it real quick, your 27th fastest car, ladies and gents. So maybe a little bit of a subtle brag there, maybe a little bit of hesitation as to how he ended so far up the leaderboard.
I have a different caption for it: for sale like new.
One careful female driver, never ragged.
Most definitely never wrecked. Might have had a few light brushes with some trees, some foliage stuck in the radiator or something, but not to worry. Don't worry about that. Just drive through a countryside lane. No problems whatsoever. Yeah, definitely some of these cars will need a full rebuild by the mechanics. And it... No, please, carry on.
I was going to say, as Viper said, it'll buff out.
It will buff out indeed. Yes. Well, that's the hopes anyway, to finish this rally. Most definitely the mechanics of this rally earning their overtime pay, that's for sure. It is one of those rallies where the time penalties in the service areas can come into effect, because a high-speed rally, Dark Viper off the road, just clipping the fence on the outside, and he was about to recover that on the handbrake. He was doing everything correctly, except the rear hit the fence, and then he had no turning ability, so just straight off the road. It's not been a great stage for Dark Viper in its total, and yeah, it's going from bad to worse here, but he'll be very happy to get to a service area and repair the car, that's for sure.
Yeah, not gone his way this afternoon. Of course, sticking with the Formula Rim as well. So fair play to him. He stayed consistent over the last 8 weeks or so in this rally event, and he has absolutely done fantastically, considering that he's using a wheel that is not designed to run in cars like this. You can see the likes of Aerotech on the right-hand side of your screens now running the more traditional circle wheel as he preps to get underway, but now on board with Vlembar onto the full screen picture. Can they send that Citroen Zara through the hills of New Zealand here?
Yeah, indeed. One of the grippiest cars in the game, but a little bit down on power. So we should see some full sends through this stage. Flat out sections, but also some very sort of tightening corners where you have to get the braking absolutely correct. We'll have to wait and see how he does. In terms of the Formula Rim, I actually think that it makes quite a big difference to your driving because it's a psychological thing, in my opinion, or at least from personal experience. With a round rim, you're encouraged to sort of chuck the car into the corners because you can catch the rim at any place around its circumference. So you can really be aggressive with it. Whereas a Formula Rim, you've only got two handles to hold on to effectively, and it becomes very difficult to catch the car if you have to rotate the rim multiple times. So it encourages you to have a smoother driving style, where you keep it a lot more central in terms of the steering and use the weight transfer to chuck the car about, and only do like micro corrections on the stage. As I've got time for punju there at 25 seconds off. Which is not as good as the previous stage, but obviously a few mistakes and a more second-hand car. So yeah, I think that personal equipment is very important, which is why when you see some drivers going to a competition, they're on unfamiliar equipment. It can totally throw off their driving style because psychologically it's a different wheel you're driving with, so you adapt your driving style to it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. There's
And
lots to
Cephalosis
play.
on his roof here. Sorry to interrupt. He's got a puncture. He's halfway through the stage, and I'm not sure he can get to the end of the stage with that.
I don't. Well, I think he might be able to just pull it across the line. He's not far from it. Sorry, I'm looking at the complete wrong person. I was looking at Aerotech, the Ancephalosis in the top right hand of your screens. Yeah, only about halfway through. And yeah, I don't think he's going to. Well, he might be able to bring it home, but it's not going to be a competitive time by any means.
No, most definitely. We want four tires on the car for obvious reasons, and he's cutting it very close with those barriers. I think it's just another one of those moments where he's drifted wide and gone, up the bank, and it's so easy to roll onto your roof, and with the jagged edges, so easy to get a puncture. Um, but yeah, it happens. That's life. That's rally. You can't expect to have a perfect rally, and this rally is quite. Even though the stages are quite smooth, it's a high attrition rally. There's a lot of incidents, a lot of times where the suspension gets damaged, where you get a puncture. Elfyn Evans, I can remember in 2022, a huge incident where just turning into a corner with a light rain shower, as Ancephalosis has another reset penalty there. But he just turned into the corner and the rear of the car stepped out. He had no tires left to correct it, and he just spun around and around, clipped a bank, and was rolling before he could even do anything about it. And that was rally over.
Yeah, so far this rally has taken nearly 200 people already. They haven't completed the stages. We've had 426 entries at time of recording, and I think just over 230 of them, 233 have actually completed the rally. So over 200 people have not made it to the end of these stages.
It's surprising because you expect that statistic from a rally like Greece, like Monte Carlo, for example, with ice or something like that. But no, it's the fast conditions, the understeer may be catching people out.
Yeah, so far, the highest attrition rate we've had so far in Season 2 goes all the way back to event number 1, where we had a 46.69% attrition rate. That was 317 participants and only 169 of them finishing.
Ouch, that's all I have to say for that. Glenbar completing there with a time good enough for third place on that stage, so putting his mark down for a good finish to the rally.
Yeah, indeed. He'll be looking to get to. Is that even completely at the end there?
I do not think so. No, it's just at the end of this stage. That's the overall stage times. The overall event time as it stands. My correction. So he's a minute off the pace. Obviously, that puncture really being the majority of that time loss. Be interesting to see if I can get some sort of times actually for Kamakazi to see where he is.
Yeah, Vlembar, like you said, P9. He's got 2 more stages to go, according to my data at the moment. Stage 10 and stage 11, which is going to be 18 kilometres long to finish off the rally here in Oceania in New Zealand. Kamakazi coming across the line. This is going to be a fantastic finish to the rally. Of course, a lot of these have been quick burst 6 kilometre or 4 kilometre stages, and then they're faced with a massive 18 kilometre stage to finish it off. or 4 kilometer
Yeah,
stages.
indeed.
Again,
Saving the
faced
best
with a
till
massive
last, or
18 kilometer
for the
stage to
drivers,
finish it off.
the most well, tricky till last. 18 kilometers, effectively double, if not a bit more, than the traditional stage at New Zealand, and you know, very difficult on the tires, very difficult on the driver, difficult for the rhythm as well, especially if you get damage. In terms of overall times, though, Vlembar is in the lead of the Creator Series standings. So as it stands, no matter what happens, if Vlembar finishes in this position, he will be crowned champion.
Yeah, Vlembar needs at least P3 to guarantee that he's going to finish off as the champion. I believe if you finished first, he finishes third. It would go down to power stage points. That would be fascinating in itself. So it's a lot to play for. I'm assuming you'll be doing your runs later on.
Yes, however, I'll just be getting my voodoo doll out in just a second here, just to make sure for a little bit of spiciness towards the end. But indeed, we will do our best at a later hour, as they say. But the drivers here on stage, Punju and Dark Viper, certainly it seems like having a sort of a cruise and sort of a calm stage for the moment.
Yeah, both of them going so far so good. I want to go back to your comments about the Formula Rim, because that's what I was running on earlier. I only have that at the moment, but I have my rotation set to about 300, so I don't often find myself flicking the car in, but it is such micro adjustments. You want to be so precise with your actions because you don't have the option, like you said, to try and catch that wheel mid-rotation. So Viper, in a way, is going to be acting so precisely with all of his inputs here. You'll be able to see the micro adjustments that he makes as he heads through the corner. Very Formula 1-esque.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword in a rally game to have a low rotation. It allows you to make some insane saves and corrections, and in some cases it can be very fast. In other cases, it can be very aggressive on the front tires, so you can get a lot of understeer, and it can lead to also overcorrections, which just going straight off the stage because you tried to correct a little bit as Dark Viper just going straight up the bank there, just I think from a correction, as I said. So it can really affect the way you approach a stage and which stage you're even fast on, because sometimes there's stages which require such precision that you have to run a higher rotation, or some stages which require just such out of control fast driving where low rotation can actually be to your benefit. Traditionally, rally cars run about 540 degrees of rotation nowadays. Beforehand, about 900 without power steering. It depends a lot on the car. And even most historic cars have been modernized now to at least power steering and 540 degrees. So it's a big subject in sim racing, degrees of rotation, and quite a controversial one, to say the least. But I can say as a closing point that when I went to events, either for demos or competitions, having different equipment, even having a different sized wheel rim, for example, going from a 33 centimeter radius wheel, or sorry, diameter wheel, to a 28 centimeter wheel, can really change how fast you can react or how abruptly you react to the car unexpectedly sliding, for example.
Yeah, it must really mess with the muscle memory that you've had ingrained in you over hours and hours of repeated practice. Of course, to go and throw that away with probably no more than a couple of hours practice, that must really unsettle the mind at the moment. We've got a very large kamakazi on the screen at the moment.
Yes, he seems to be paused mid-stage, and I'm trying to figure out why.
Oh, I've seen the fan.
Just cooling off.
I was like,
I
what's
did not
what's
notice
up?
that.
What's up, producer trying to show us here? And then it clocks that the fan is sat on his lap, trying to cool himself off here.
Such normal behavior for Mr. Kamikaze that I didn't even see it. So yeah, definitely he's making sure that he's in peak condition to not get overheated, and so he can attack these last stages. Punju coming across the line of this stage, by the way, with a time 9 seconds off the pace in 32nd place, and he looks pretty happy from that. Yeah, look at that. He looks really happy.
Yeah, that's definitely going to set him up well heading into the final run, of course. Well, stage 11 is all that stands ahead of him. But a fantastic lap, well, a fantastic sector from himself. As I said, 32nd place. Let's see who he's close to. I see some names that we might recognise. Probably not around him at the moment, but definitely some good names up the top. I see Ambient Mike. He's still in 7th place, so he might not be here on the broadcast week in, week out, but he's still making a very, very valiant effort to get the stages done.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ambient Mike with that little incident, I think in stage 1 or stage 2, where it was a DNF. So overall, his times won't be there, but on the stage times individually, he is right there and just pushing the pace. It's incredible to see. And I dare say, without that little incident, he probably would have been in contention for a Creator Series victory on this one. So it's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, I think he would have absolutely been in contention for a Creator Series victory. Maybe next season we'll see him back in the broadcast. I'm not quite sure what's going on with Kamakazi. Was there a minor mistake there for himself?
Yeah, it seems like he's still making these little errors, line errors as I call them, just clipping the inside of the corner there as well. And he's got quite severe bump damage. Yeah, he's shaking his head. I'm not sure if there's some sort of technical issue. I doubt it. It probably pulls the game to sort of correct that. But he's definitely not happy still. Which is in complete contrast to before the broadcast, where he was just merrily testing his setup and setting, near enough world record pace on the stage he was testing. So quite a bizarre sort of, bizarre rally for both of our frontline competitors, let's call them, Kamikazi and Blembar, who you see on screen side by side. They've had uncharacteristic mistakes all throughout this rally so far.
Yeah, absolutely right. I wonder if this is going back to maybe a little bit of mental exhaustion or physical exhaustion, and that's why the fan was there trying to cool himself down before he went for his next one. You could see him almost fanning himself with his hand as he went through part of the stage. So I wonder if the heat being kicked out from his rig, from his PC, is really starting to get to him a little bit in the new environment that he finds himself in.
It can have a huge effect on your driving. There's a reason why drivers in any motor racing sort of championship do so much sport and physical activity to get them used to not only being overheated and sort of stressed. As Kamikaze's off the road, straight off the road. I think he might be struggling with reflections off of the windscreen, or he's trying a different camera to see if he can get a bit more of a feel for the car. Obviously something not working. Camera angles can have a drastic effect on the way that you feel the car through the corner. This camera is sitting a bit more centrally to the car, so you might be able to feel the car slide a bit more. It will correct those misjudgments or those losses in grip a little bit more. I'm struggling to find a perfect explanation for this.
The only thing I can assume is Kamikaze normally runs a bonnet cam, and with that you can see on the screen the bonnet is shifting up and down as he continues through his run. I wonder if that was impacting his view on the corners ahead of him, with the course being so flat, but actually no, he's off again, and has he lost a door?
He certainly has, and it's just looking like he's not comfortable with the handling of that car at all. The car obviously very damaged, and obviously normally frustrated, really, is the word that I should say. It looks like the car has just fallen off a cliff in terms of grip. It looks like the tires have gone, that every time he turns into a corner, he's expecting to get that bite, that turning into the corner, and it never happens. And once again, he's off the road right at the end of the stage there, recovered now across the line. But bizarre. I can't find an explanation for it at all.
Yeah, I'm really struggling to figure out what went wrong. I'm sure we'll be able to chat to him at the end of the broadcast, immediately into the pause menu then. So I wonder if, like you said, something not quite working for himself. Lembar's finished his run, just reviewing the replay. Dark Viper and Punju, top left and top right of your screens, heading through. Punju's on the final stage, we know that for sure. I think Dark Viper will be alongside him.
Indeed. They both look like they are into that 18-kilometer stage. As you can see, the sectors have increased from the standard 4 that you see to the 9 on the left-hand side. That's how you can tell that it's a longer stage. Again, they'll want to have a clean one. I think they've just had a service before this. It certainly looks like it. Kamikaze with a lot of damage on his car, it must be said, but it looks like he's got it all repaired off cameras here. Again, this is stages they've already driven today, it looks like, so they'll have an inkling of you know, how the car is going to handle any problems, any junctions that they might come across, any mistakes that they might have made in previous passes. They might be able to correct and have a better power stage here.
Yeah, exactly that. It always goes back to a bit of an inclination. You know what's coming up when the pace notes start to link up. Your mind can make those maps where, oh, I've done this before, but maybe in reverse, I kind of know what's about to come. Your brain can put two and two together, and that's where kind of the back of your brain starts to take over, and the flow can really start to happen in terms of your driving. Hopefully, some of our drivers will be able to start linking it up really nice and smoothly on these final stages.
It'd be interesting to see the stage times. We don't get indications as to whether somebody's saved a fresh set of tires for this stage, perhaps in a bid to get a power stage win. In terms of championship positions, this is the last stage where they can get points, so they might throw all caution to the wind and like sacrifice their overall position to try and gain a few positions on the power stage. It's certainly looking like for Punju, he's on used tires, that car understeering quite a bit. For Antiphlosis, a bit too early into the stage to tell, although Punju, little mistake in the line, nearly getting a penalty from that. So and Aerotech's off the road as well, I think in the exact same corner.
Yeah, a double issue there for Punju and Aerotech. I think, as you said, exactly the same corner, and both cars not being able to link it up. You can't even throw that back to it being a car issue, because no matter what it says on your screen, Punju is indeed in the Mini Countryman rally car. Aerotech is indeed in the Citroen, so that's just something to bear in mind. But the two of them, yeah, having a very similar issue at the exact same point in the rally.
Yeah, it can happen sometimes. Especially if you're sort of taking the same line into a corner, they've all got the same grip. There's no like changes in the ruts or anything that could affect the drivers. So there's no explanation in that in terms of like stage degradation and stuff. It can just be that every driver spots the same line or the same possibility to go flat through the corner and then realizes at the exact same moment that it's not going to work out. And it's happened routinely that drivers have been off at the exact same corner in the past on this broadcast.
Yeah, exactly that. It's a real challenge. It's a real mix between wanting to take the corner quickly and wanting to take the corner precisely. And it's kind of that three-pointed triangle, fast, quick, and safe. And I think 9 times out of 10, our drivers will throw safe out of the window.
That being said, some drivers will be happy to just get to the finish line. So it could be also that they think this is an 18-kilometer stage. I'm on worn tires. I've got a slightly battered car. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to back off the pace. I'm going to get it to the end and just call it a day effectively and say I did a good rally. And as I said previously, that can lead to even more mistakes than if you drove flat out. Obviously for Punju, he loves the power stages and all that, so I think he's going to be absolutely sending it. It certainly looks like it for the moment. And apart from that one tiny mistake, it's going well so far. But we'll have to wait and see for the overall stage times. All of our drivers actually look to be having a smooth run through this one.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. Everyone kind of finding their feet in these final stages. Ambient Mike coming into chat and actually praising Dark Viper's driving at the moment. He says it's some solid driving from Dark Viper, and I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah, he mentioned he was disappointed about the mistakes, and I'm not sure if I said it before or not, but I acknowledge that the mistakes are bad, obviously, from his point of view, but he's missing the point that his pace is actually really good, and the mistakes, paradoxically, are coming from that increase of pace. Look at how he's chucking the car over the jumps and all that, which is exactly what he got to. Punju off in the background, just clipping, I think, a bank and off into the shrubberies, recovered by now, but a loss of about 2 or 3 seconds. It wasn't too big, no damage, I don't think. But yeah, the more you increase the pace, the more you leave yourself open to big mistakes. And I think it takes a bit of experience to acknowledge that and to have the correlation. As in, Kamakazi off the road as well. that will not be what he wanted for the power stage. Second against Vlembar. If Vlembar has a clean stage here, it will be game over in terms of the power stage points, and they're about on the same section of road as well. So we'll be able to keep an eye on them. We've got two sets of drivers here on basically the same part of the course, on the top there and on the bottom. So we'll have to wait and see how they're doing. It looks like they're all on the stage at the moment. No big moments.
Yeah, F1 kind of finding their rhythm. I think, as you said, they've taken almost a mental step back. Gone, it's a longer stage here. Let's just try and get to the end of it. There's some good points at stake. And of course, if you're new to the Creator Series, the final stage, aka the Power Stage, gets you some all-important points. Top 5 scoring 5-1 in that order. And of course, those points could be absolutely critical as we go through the season.
Yes, indeed, and even more critical, seeing as this is the last rally of the season. So your points are locked in at the end of this stage, and that is where you finish in the championship. So some people will have taken a look at their standings and thought, well, I'm only 2 points behind the next driver. So if I sacrifice a little bit my rally beforehand to take a fresh set of tyres in the power stage and gain 3 points, well, that's me overtaking one driver. So there's all manner of strategies that we see in real life and in various competitions on this game and other games, where you make a compromise and you just choose which strategy you think is best. And from drivers in various different situations, that can mean a whole different manner of things.
Yeah, absolutely correct. I think hopefully once our drivers get to the end, we'll have some inclination of the way that it's going, especially when Vlembar comes across the line. I believe anything better than P2 should secure the championship for himself. However, don't quote me completely on that. As they say, the show ain't over until the fat lady sings.
Let's put it into context in terms of real talk. A DNF is required at this point, or a 5-minute, 6-minute time penalty. But put it this way, probably not going to happen. Vlembar would probably just drive to the end on a punctured tyre rather than take a DNF. So Vlembar doing a sensible thing, I think, just driving within his ability a tiny bit. You can see he's not chucking the car into the front so aggressively as, for example, Kamakazi is doing. But paradoxically, Kamakazi having so many problems in the previous stages that Vlembar is in front of him on the overall results for the moment.
Yeah, exactly that. I think Kamakazi's previous mistakes might have caught up to him, and that is Dark Viper across the line. You can see the celebrations, and I can already tell what he's going to say when he comes into chat in a brief couple of moments. He's going to try and scroll down and find me. That's what I'm almost guaranteeing is about to happen. 36th, wow.
27 seconds off the pace on an 18-kilometer stage. That's less than 2 seconds a kilometer from the leader. That is an impressive pace. Oh, Punju into the finish barrier, or the 1 mile marker barrier, and he's not only got radiator damage, but he's got stuck, just sliding off the bank in a reminiscent sort of accident from the previous one he had midway through the rally. Can't believe lightning does strike twice.
It does indeed. What has happened for Punju here? It was all going so swimmingly at the start of the stage, and I think maybe mental exhaustion and maybe some car damage really catching up to him. We saw the Mini that was so beaten up earlier, and I think maybe it's all gone a little bit downhill from there.
Yeah, it's always, just pushing to the last little bit. It's reminiscent of the previous incident where he just clicked the inside of the barrier and it pitched him into a spin. He selected reverse on throttle and I think he's trying to do some donuts here, but it's not working. The car too damaged, unfortunately. But good attempt, I will say that much. Just clipped the inside, pitched into a spin, selected reverse, flat out on the accelerator and just flat out over the bank, basically, which made the situation twice as bad.
Yeah, unfortunately there for Punju. I reckon...
Dark Viper. They are literally 400ths of a second apart, with
wow.
Dark Viper finishing ahead of Punju on that stage.
Wow, holy smokes. But speaking of those two, should we start the interviews for the guys that finished their rally already? Let's get Dark Viper in for a chat, and what I can only assume will be upmost gloating. Viper,
hello,
Bucks.
Excuse me, sir.
I'm already regretting what's about to happen, but talk us through how your rally went.
Oh, can we just count the last 2 stages? Honestly, like.
Viper beat me.
No,
he
I
beat
got
me
like
by
when I
400th of a
finished
second.
42nd on the last one, now I got
He got
36 on that
36,
stage.
I got 37.
Like, told you I was gonna lock in.
And I had a
It might not
huge
be
drop.
on
I
your
should have gotten
leaderboard,
like
but
13.
Punju's just crossed the line after you.
What?
He is
behind me.
Oh,
400ths of a second behind you. You had a little moment, a little off that cost him about 10 seconds at the end of the stage, which means that you finished ahead of him on the power stage
I'm
points
gonna
as
see
well.
if I can find it in the
Oh,
replay.
I don't know how the points work, to be honest, I'm not sure.
On the inside.
So at the end of the last stages, power stage, the top 5 get 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I just had
didn't
one
expect
point
it
where I kind
surprise
of got
me then.
stalled out just sideways and had to do a
Oh, that felt good
3-4
the
point
last
turn,
like, especially
which cost me some time. But otherwise,
and then, I'm so happy right now. Why did
Overall, what in that stage or overall?
overall,
Overall, I've been pushed down to 202nd.
oh, it's a bit rough that one, man.
I'll be honest. I tried it at midday on my lunch break at work, so probably wasn't the smartest idea. But we got to the end. We got to the end. That's all
so
that
you'll still end
matters.
up happening last, promise.
That was fun.
I'm so mad. Viper just pushed a point off me from that power
Yeah, I
stage
wish Hero was
by
here.
400th of a second.
Moment of silence.
That's great. I thought I had like
Yeah,
the
B-Roy would have been a spectacle to watch. That's for sure. On these stages, always 110% commitment. But I must say yourself as well, 110% commitment. You were talking about you were having a few incidents and all that. I think that just reflects the pace of this. You up the pace, and so the incidents just a natural.
And I'm 27 seconds off the leader. I could have been within 10
I mean,
seconds.
thank you guys for commenting.
That's
I never said thank you for the
First time.
input. You guys did a great job.
Oh, there
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I was thinking, well,
I mean,
I'd say it'll never happen.
leave it all on track.
quite good at to me, so.
Yeah, there we go.
That one?
I wasn't gonna say
No
that.
major whoopsie, but I was so.
Yeah, thank you guys.
No, Viper, it's been a pleasure to have you on for season 2. We look forward, hopefully, when season 3 rolls around, having you back and competing on your Formula Rim and absolutely showing up some of the creators.
Garbage. Put a rock on
It's
the
the best
apex.
will for it.
Why would you do that?
Oh, you like that one? I don't know exactly what you're talking about.
Fantastic stuff, Viper. Thank you so much for competing every week, well, week in, week out. Come to chat to us as well, and we wish you all the best.
Oh, the little rock? Yeah.
Catch you soon.
There I go. Yeah.
Viper, again, one of those people that
How
always
did you
brings
know
that
that?
energy to what
You
can
don't
sometimes
know
be
how
quite a
many mistakes
mediocre
I've made.
interview for
Especially
myself.
Okay,
But, you know,
all
always
right.
a lovely guy to chat
Seconds
to.
in the lead
Whether he's
says
done well
you
or
don't
whether
know
he's
how
done
many
badly.
mistakes. See, Captain,
man,
by
nice
himself,
one.
this is why we have two
People are
classes
just
now,
as
because
happy to be
there are
here
people that are
to
this fast,
participate,
make us
to
all feel
throw
very
a car through
pedestrian.
some rally stages.
It's-
It's lovely
it's
to.
rough.
Did you
to
actually
see.
split it
And I
into
think
this?
just a credit to his driving as well to just push flat out maximum. Very few people have the confidence to do that, and I think with more experience he can fine tune those mistakes out of his driving, and it can be even more impressive than he already is. Which is a tough act to follow for most people already. Just want to give a quick update. Sadly for me, I will say this one, Vlembar has completed the stage. Not only did he complete the stage, but he saved a set of tires, I think, and he has got P1 in the stage, which means, unfortunately for me, but fortunately for Vlembar, he is the Season 2 champion.
Yeah, an outstanding drive from Vlembar all season. He's won so many events week in, week out. He won our first opening event at Mediterrano, and then from there was pretty much no stopping him. He won the power stage in Japan, won both the event and the power stage in Italy, won both in Scandia, and then won the power stage to top it off in Estonia. And then, of course, tonight he wins not only the event total, but of course the power stage as well, to round out what has been a fantastic 8 weeks of rallying for himself.
Most definitely. The pace has been incredible, the consistency even more impressive, and that's what it takes to win a championship. And credit to him. I must say, personally as well, I must say it's been a great battle the entire season, and I have absolutely no regrets in losing to a man of his talent. And so he thoroughly deserves it, and I basically say no more.
Yeah, absolutely spectacular. Well, on that note, should we get Vlembar in to have a chat and congratulate him on his championship? Vlembar, welcome into the commentary box for one final time this season, and also from us, a massive congratulations on winning season 2 of the Creator Series WRC event.
Thank you very much. But I have to say, I made it very, very hard for me today, especially at the.
Yeah, it was definitely not the start to the rally that you wanted in terms of having that puncture and those few offs. But the recovery after that, the recovery drive was nothing short of exemplary. Once again, demonstrating the pace you've had the entire season. And I must say, I have to admit defeat on this one, and just well, I've already showered you with praise, but I will do it again once in person. Just you've blown everybody else out of the water, put it that way.
Yeah, thank you again. Yeah, I have to say, some rallies really went better than I expected. Obviously, there were 1 or 2 where they didn't went as planned. Chile, for example, like my own rally I picked. So yeah, but in the end, I think also on the club overall standings, it's gonna be really close between the VBR boys and me. So I have to say, some really, really quick drivers, not just me, but general, that participated over the whole season.
Most definitely. What would you define, I guess, as a highlight of the season? Is there any moment that stands out for you, especially?
Probably I'd pick Rally Italy, because I have to say that probably from what I remember was the most flawless rally I did. And yeah, I have to admit I really, really did well there. So that's probably the rally I'm most proud of this season.
To be heading.
Well, it's really tough.
There we go. We're back. Thank you so much for people in the Twitch chat letting us know there was no voice over these images. I apologise for that. Flembar, I think we'll head back quickly. Talk us through what you're looking forward to potentially for next season, and also just round out the season for yourself.
Yeah, I think just the more rallies we do, the more competitive it's gonna get, and there's gonna be more people participating. I think today we're also coming close to our highest number again, so it's really picking up in the last few rallies, and I imagine we can easily achieve 500 entries in the next seasons per rally. So I'm really thrilled for that.
Yeah, it would be fantastic to see. We're just shy of 3,000 members in the EA Creator Series Club. And of course, if you want to join, you can come get involved as well. Look up EA Sports Creator Series, EA Creator Series on the RaceNet. Come join us. And hey, you could be featured on these broadcasts as well. But Vlemba, for one final time from us here in the comms box, congratulations. You win Season 2 here.
Thank you again. And also, at the end, I have to say thank you guys for the commentary across the season, and also the work behind the cameras and organizing everything. Every stream has been superb to watch and really enjoyable. And also, I think that it got cut off earlier. A big shout out to the other creators that participated across the season. Some really did some big improvements in terms of pace and just minimizing the amounts of mistakes. And I think this rally, from what I saw, I have to say a lot of creators really got far up front. So it's great to see.
Yeah, absolutely spectacular. Vlembar, thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll see you again soon in season 3.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Well, Isa, I'll let you choose who you want to speak to next. We've got a wide variety of creators sat waiting for us to chat to. I'll let you have free reign with them.
Just before we do, I just want to say what a humble interview and championship winning interview from someone thinking of other people before himself. Very rare to see, and just credit to the character of the person of the winner of season 2. Great to see, and yeah, again, I couldn't have gone to a better guy in my opinion. I think it's a choice between well, potentially Captain Sparkles, or which we haven't had in the broadcast yet, or Mr. Kamakazi. I'll leave the choice to you.
Let's bring Captain Sparkles in. We haven't had a chat with him yet this evening. Mr. Captain Sparkles, welcome in to the commentary box. We haven't had an opportunity to speak to you this evening, so talk us through how the rally has gone for you.
I'm sorry. I think I missed the first part as the Discord was bringing me in here. You were just asking how I feel about things?
Yeah, just talk us through how it went for yourself.
Well, I did get last out of the participants in the Discord. But somebody has to do that, and so it might as well be me. I had a good time. The biggest struggle was when I flipped a couple times on the nighttime rainy stage, and then my headlights went out, and I had to drive blind the entire rest of the way. So other than that, it was pretty good, though.
What do you think was the main element that was catching you out then? Was it just the stage, the blind crest, or was it another element?
I think there's just some like real nasty berms on the side of the road that look like you would be able to, kind of hit them and have your tire go over them, but instead it's just like a wall. And I think that sort of messes you up a little bit. Also, I'm not mega well versed at this stuff, so when I get like 50 calls appearing on my screen back to back to back, I kind of just like it goes in one ear and out the other, and then things go bad.
Yeah,
No,
it's
please carry on.
no, it was certainly a challenge. It's something that I think a lot of our creators have had to get used to very, very quickly. But you've done an amazing job being able to make it to the end of such a rally like this in Oceania. Talk us through maybe some high points, maybe some low points of the season so far, because I know you've come and done a couple of rallies with us.
Yeah, this is the third one. Let's see. I mean, I as far as this one goes, I really liked. I can't remember which stage number it was here, but it was just like it was a really fast one, and I think I finished. It was, I don't know, like 10 seconds off the pace, but that's way down on the leaderboard because everyone does really well. But it felt very good and satisfying when I did it, as opposed to on the longer, curvier, rainier stages where I know that I'm taking things incredibly slowly and everyone else is just completely taking off on me. So that was cool. I also, I in the last one that I participated in, which again I forget what the location was, but I felt like I think I only had one bigger-ish wreck there, so I drove a mostly clean one, didn't get last, and so I'd say that was a bit of a highlight for me.
Yeah, I believe the last one you came to do was actually Estonia for the
Yeah.
season finale last time around.
That sounds about right. And yeah, anytime I'm not last, it's good. And also, you know what? I don't have a handbrake, so I give that as another thing against me. Maybe I never want to get one though, because then I will actually be judged on the same level as everybody else.
Quite important, the handbrake, that's for sure. But
Yeah, probably.
I'm sure there's a lot of enjoyment that you've had just chucking the car around, trying to replicate a handbrake. I must admit, with Estonia and now New Zealand, you have a taste for the faster rallies.
Okay. Are these are considered? Well, I guess there were some fast stages in here for sure, but it also felt like the nighttime rainy ones. If that was considered fast, I guess I'm just going really slow.
Confidence, probably. I mean, to be fair for yourself, going into a rally like this and trying to go flat out, you have to give yourself a bit of credit for not only reaching the end of the rally, but also setting some competitive times. As you said, I don't think people understand how difficult that is in itself.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I did fly off a bridge on one, but it was just like a 5-second penalty back onto the track. So I appreciate the leniency that the game has there, because I don't think in real life that would have been a good one. It was like, wait, if I fly off a bridge and it puts me back, what does it take to actually do a full-on DNF? It must be a lot.
Tis but a scratch. It's been fantastic having you on here, Captain. Captain sounds very formal to be calling someone at the end of a rally broadcast, but we're going to roll with it for this afternoon. It's been
It's
a
the
pleasure having you.
irony of the last place guy being called captain.
It's been a pleasure having you on at the end, and it's been fantastic seeing you compete against some of the other guys. Will we see you on for season 3 when that gets announced?
Yeah, probably. I don't know that I'll be in every race, but hopefully just here and there. And we were discussing maybe a new class of participant, the arrive and drive category, and so maybe I can head that one up.
I love that. It's been a pleasure chatting to you as always. Thank you so much for coming and competing and chatting. It's always a pleasure, and I'm sure we'll see you again very soon.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Catch you very soon.
Farewell.
It's
The
lovely.
man, he has such gravitas in his voice. I envy him.
Most definitely, most definitely. It's also just a delight to hear that even though they, have little experience, they're able to enjoy an event like this and just hop on. And he said before the event did no practice whatsoever. So, yeah, it's just a credit again to some of the talent these people have, just coming out of the blue and just setting stage times like that, only 10 seconds off the pace. Impressive.
Very true. I reckon we've got time for a couple more chats. I think we need to get Punju at the end as obviously the organizer of the whole thing. So again, I'll let you choose. We haven't spoken to Ancephalosis or Aerotech yet this evening, so I'll let you have a choice between the two.
Seeing as Aerotech is returning this week, maybe we can get an interview with Aerotech.
Let's bring him in. Aerotech, welcome in. A fantastic job this afternoon. Maybe some hiccups on your rally, but nonetheless, managing to come across the line in that all-important fashion. Talk us through how it went for yourself.
Some stages I had like usually if I'm doing good, I can see I'm in about 60th overall. It was one stage there I was like top 40. I was like, okay, well we're doing something correct. And then I mean, I don't know if you guys caught up in the last stage where I decided I wanted to pursue gymnastics with the Olympics coming up. And did a cartwheel into a tree. But yeah, it's like when I was on it, I was very, very good, and like the whole kind of encapsulates my whole season of a big improvement in driving. And when I made mistakes, they weren't small; they were huge. Like I crashed or flipped or flew off or whatnot. So there's definitely room to improve, but I have a lot to be proud of.
Yeah, you certainly took a bit of lessons from the drift events that you went to spectate on. The driving was spectacular, and mistakes happen. They're part of rally. You have to remind, I think, every driver of that at some point because everybody's looking for a perfect rally. But from what we saw, the commitment was mesmerizing to watch, and I think it's a great effort nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, I've been telling Punju and stuff this entire time, from going off of what I was doing last season to this season. I feel like a different driver. And that means a lot to hear from you because literally halfway through the latch stage, I just yelled out, "I just want to make Izza proud," and that's it. So, I mean,
Certainly
other
done
than
that.
yeah, so I'm stoked that I'm excited and kind of upset now because I have improved a ton, but now like to continue improving, it's going to get a lot harder. I'm gonna have to put a lot more time into practicing and warming up and learning how setups work to get to that like top 4 that are just on another level. I don't think I'm gonna start putting down top 10 times anytime soon, but it's cool that I've improved that much. And clearly, I think I'm doing something okay.
Well, you had the compliments from Vlembar as well. In general, he gave an impression that, or his opinion that, which I think is correct as well, that every driver has improved really, and that the pace is going up and up. And some people don't realize that they've increased that much.
Yeah, and again, it's just something that you'll get better at with time. And coming from a drifting background, I had a lot of the to understand how to move the car around, but my biggest thing was not thinking while driving, which makes no sense when you hear it at first, but I have to listen to the pace notes, so I have to just trust that my hands and feet will take me through the stage, and then I need to use my brain to listen to the notes. Anytime I was making mistakes, it's because I didn't hear a Titans or I didn't hear like a 4 into 3 or something. So that's something that I've definitely gotten a lot better at, and I think a lot of the creators here who are from traditional road racing or whatever their background is, that's probably the biggest thing they're picking up is just knowing that what that information means and being able to use it in a proactive way.
Most definitely. Couldn't have said it any better.
I do my best.
Fantastic stuff, Era. It's been a pleasure having you on over this season as well. Like you said, everyone has improved. It's fantastic. Dirk Chocolate, our producer, has put in our VC chat. He speaks facts with about 7 S's. Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come race and to come chat as well.
I wouldn't want to spend my Monday afternoon anywhere else. Thank you guys very much for hosting. Even words are hard, and hopefully we're back on the grid here for season 3.
Fingers crossed, and we look forward to having you here for season 3 as well.
Thanks, guys.
Pleasure to see you drive.
Oh, amazing stuff. Well, I was going to get Punju in, but he's deafened up. So unless he undoes so in the I reckon should we get Ancephalosis in the interim? He's just unmuted. Let's bring him in for a quick chat right at the end here. Ancephalosis, I haven't got your name wrong this afternoon, which I think is a personal victory for myself. How did the rally go for you?
You know, during the rally, I was kind of afraid. It felt very back and forth. I think I had 2 or 3 stages that I was very happy with, but there were a few back, especially when the rain was coming down, where it was actually the bushes that kept getting me. I was driving just a little off the road. I'd touch a bush, it'd spin me around, 360, 720. I'm actually surprised I came out P71 overall because I also had a puncture, I think, on the third to last stage, maybe, that I had to drive about 2 miles on. But P71, I'm super, super excited with. Very happy with that time.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, the driving, I've said a lot about a lot of drivers, but your driving was on the limit every single stage. You can really tell you've got an old school driving style. It's actually very different technique to most of the other drivers of chucking the car sideways a lot on the handbrake, and it was spectacular to watch for every single stage, even though we've got modern cars. And mistakes happen. It's New Zealand. I spoke about it multiple times.
Right.
But it's one of those rallies that even real life, if you even go half a meter off the side of the stage, it's game over for you. So mistakes happened, but your perseverance, I must say, of getting to the end, despite the damage, despite the problems, despite the punctures at some point, it was exemplary.
Nice, thank you. Really appreciate that. Yeah, tried to finish strong. I got some decent practice in. It's sometimes hard to find time to work the practice in before these, but I did I did the longy bongy, the 11 miles up and down a few times, and I was feeling pretty good that at least I knew where my trouble points were. There's the one junction that terrifies me in my sleep. It's like a 5 short Titans 6 or a 6 Titans 5 over junction, something like that. I like always think the road is coming out to the right. Oh, that reminds me. I think it was on the 2 miler. I actually did make that mistake. I found myself way out right, ended up launching off some grass, landing back on the track in one piece. I could barely believe it happened as it happened, but
You
yeah, we
weren't the
managed
only
to
one.
avoid most of the scary stuff.
You were not the only one. I think Punju as well on that same corner, that same junction was hit
It's a
the
tough.
post on the outside and got ricocheted back onto the
Oh,
track. It was pretty impressive to watch as well. But
oh
yeah,
goodness.
both of you getting a bit lucky on that one. But hey,
Yeah.
it's a rally. It takes a little bit of luck as well.
Yeah, that's right. And it's kind of the willingness to hold on even in those moments where it looks like it's all going out the window. Sometimes that fight for your life keeps you on the track and keeps you out of penalty territory. Always worth to fight until the last moment in my eyes.
Most definitely.
Exactly that. Well, Ancephalos, it's been a pleasure having you on over the last couple of weeks.
you,
It's
man.
been fantastic seeing not only you drive, but you develop as well. And I think we've seen not just yourself, but everyone get quicker over the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks. It's been fantastic. Will we see you back for season 3? I'm sure that's what everybody is asking.
Man, if you guys will keep having me, I am over the moon to be here. I'm stumbling over my words, man. I'm just happy to be here. We've got some legends racing. It's so fun to go up against people that just knock your socks off. I've always loved that approach when it comes to racing. I was a swimmer, and I loved racing next to someone who is just a little bit faster than me, because then I've got someone to push for, you know. But if you're racing with people that are all slower than you, then what do you have to strive for? So yeah, I'm super blessed to be here among the fastest people I know. And if you guys will have me, I'd love to be back. And also shout out to the ambient mic on the tune. Definitely went a long way there.
Yeah, an absolute legend in the community, looking out for not only the races, but of course, community as well, providing setups pretty much every week for some of the cars, which is things we love to see. And what I love about this community that we're making here in the rally space. But yeah, we will definitely have you back for season 3. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sure we'll have a little chat to you in when that comes around.
Perfect, man. Thank you guys so much again for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, and yeah, have a lovely evening.
All right, take care, guys. Till next time.
Oh, fantastic stuff. Well, I think there's one more person we have to speak to. It's only tradition at this point. Mr. Punju, welcome in at the
Well, howdy.
end of season number 2. We've had some fantastic rallies over 2 seasons, and Vlembar topping it off, taking the title. It's just been an incredible way to end.
Yeah.
But I think the first thing we need to do before having a chat about an interview or anything like that is a massive thanks to you, who not
Oh.
only came up with the idea but put so much of this together, created the rally stages for us all, and yeah, massive appreciation to you.
You're being too nice. I mean, it's been a lot of fun to be able to do this for everybody. Like, honestly, I love rally. It's been my original love of motorsports. It's what got me to become like a car fan. Was rally and like the old Gran Turismo games, and then I got Dirt 2, not Dirt Rally 2.0, Dirt 2. No, Dirt Original actually was what really like solidified it for me. And then Dirt 2, played so many hours on that. Dirt 3 tons, and yeah, it's just like it's super cool to be able to share this love with a bunch of people, and it's just fun for me to know that everybody else is having just as much fun, if not more fun than I am. So I will keep doing this for as long as I'm allowed. It's awesome.
Yeah, I must say it's just so great having people such as yourself, but particularly yourself, just so motivated, but also just happy with driving, as you said in general. Just the sheer experience of rally is something unique, and you described it better perhaps than even I could describe it. The words were perfect. So I won't bother repeating them. But it's just great to have people of like-mindedness, to be honest.
Yep, I agree. It is the only kind of driving, in my opinion, that like has the deepest level of joy just in the driving, which is why you don't even need somebody next to you on the stage. Like it's just about you, the car, and your co-driver telling you sometimes wrong things. It's it's just so fun. Yeah, so it's been really fun, and thanks to everybody who's competed. I think today was the second most participated round in Creator Series history, behind last week, which was the most participated round in Creator Series history. So like, we'll take. Yeah, it's really cool that like people are loving it. 500 people entered the stages last week and this week, basically. So yeah, really cool, really cool.
Yeah, it's been fantastic to see over the last couple of weeks the increased numbers, and of course still nearing that 3,000 members in the Creator Series Club. I think when we first started, we were not even hoping. Well, we were hoping to get to about 1,000, and now we're over triple that. and looking well,
Yep.
nearly over triple that, looking about 100 members off 3,000. Just how far we've come in just a short number of time.
It's pretty wild, and yeah, I gotta say thanks also to EA for giving us all the love here and giving us a lot of support. Like, it's been super fun they take like all the feedback that we do and they keep making the game better and better and better. And like, I know we've got more season updates coming too. Like, yeah, it's been really cool. Like, it's so nice to put us on the featured list, and now we're just gonna keep making this bigger and better and making it a lot of fun for everybody to go out there and go rally. I'm trying my best to give you guys good car track combos, and I think this probably was the best car track combo we've done since like the beginning of season 1, in my opinion. This is like my favorite. But yeah, like I'm just gonna keep trying my best to basically make every round as good as this.
Yeah,
It's so fun today.
it's been incredible. I've been corrected by our producer. The original goal was only 50, not 1,000, which
Correct.
just shows how far we've come in that time. And that is actually slightly mind-boggling to myself as well.
Yeah,
It can be
I know.
described as slightly above what we were expecting, I think.
Just a
Something
little
like
bit
that.
better.
Just
Yeah,
a tiny bit.
But I mean, honestly, all the props goes to all the people that come out and show up and race every single week. Like, those are the ones that I owe thank you to more than anything, is all the people that come out here and participate. So thanks to all the fans and participants and all that kind of stuff, and those who are watching the broadcast and enjoying the rally. And yeah, thank you to all you guys. That's the big one for me. So yeah,
Amazing
see you
stuff.
guys as well. Shoot, TK, Isa, and also our producers who will remain nameless in the background. You guys are incredible. Seriously, you guys make this like, you make rally extra fun. It's like one of the most hard to broadcast sports out there, even though it's so fun to drive. That's the biggest dichotomy about it. But yeah, I think we found a really great way to actually make it really fun for people to watch. And so that's all down to you guys. So thank you.
Thank you so much. What?
course.
Just quickly before we let you go and enjoy the rest of your afternoon, your evening, what can we expect from season 3? And when are we going to get a commentator stage to snike in there somewhere?
Oh, a commentator stage. So last season, or this season, we had obviously the champions round, which Vlembar decided to torture all of us to give us Group B 4-wheel drive at a snowy Chile, which was just so rude. So I feel like the commentators will be nicer to us. So maybe we'll add one of those in there. We're definitely going to do another fan pick round, so expect a vote coming out pretty soon for that one. And then outside of that, I think we're going to be getting as many of like the just everybody liked that kind of stages like this one. Like, we could go out there and be like, hey, let's go put ourselves in the F2 kit car again. Like, it's not the most fun car to drive. It's pretty fun, but it's so difficult, and like, you have to find the perfect car track combo. So instead, I'm thinking to myself, let's just go to all the best stages with all the best cars for a full season and just run it that way and see what happens. And
I love that.
yeah, that's the little bit of a look into the back end mind as to how the decisions we've made as to what stages to pick and cars to pick.
I've already got that mischievous smile of imagining that in my head of how awesome that's going to be. That sounds
That's
great.
the goal. Just a hilariously fun to drive season. Yep.
Amazing stuff. Punju, again, massive thank you for all that you've done here for the WRC event. We look forward to season 3 starting. Obviously, check out, if you're not in the Discord already, that's the best place to be to keep track of everything that's going to be going on for the new season. But we'll let you head off and get on with the rest of your evening. It's been a pleasure as always, and I'm sure we'll see you again very soon, mate.
Thanks, y'all. You're awesome. We'll see you guys later.
See you soon. Such a great guy, and I'm so glad he brought his vision to life in what has been probably one of the most favourite WRC events I've had, well, that we've had to date, with this one tonight.
Most definitely, I think just the entire season. If he said that it's a difficult sport to commentate on, perhaps it's not really my place to say that. But what I will say is that they made it ever so easy for us to have stuff to commentate on via their awesome driving. Every single person that's driven in the events, the comments that they've made after the stages, I find some of the stuff that they had to say fascinating and a new depth and a different point of view that I'd never even considered before. So, as much as they can praise us, perhaps, I think we have to praise all of the drivers that have participated in these broadcasts, but not only all of the people that have participated in the entire season, because they've shaped the story of the season. They've given it its own context and provided stage times sometimes to even within the thousandth of a second for a stage win. So the credit, I think, goes mostly to the drivers.
Yeah, I think I'll give a massive shout out to everyone that's driven the season. So Patterson, B-Roy, Bedrock Zoo, Rift Blondie, Ancephalosis, Lagresh, Dark Viper, Pericles, Dark Quentin, Aerotech, Ambient Mike, Punju, Kamakazi, Vlembar are wonderful producers behind the scenes that have been Mr. Gareth and Mr. Dirk Chocolate. And of course, fellow commentators, Jess, who stepped in, Gareth has stepped in for a session in the commentary box. And of course, my fellow co-commentator for this evening and the past couple of weeks, the wonderful Eyes Amusing. Just a massive shout out to everybody.
And shout out to yourself as well. You missed yourself. I think when, it's okay to give yourself a compliment sometimes, and I think you definitely deserve it. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate with you, and the just amount of enthusiasm that you've shown throughout every single aspect of the broadcast is just invigorating, and yeah, I could not wish for a better experience. But also shout out, obviously, to Jess and Gareth as well. It's been some incredible moments, and for someone who wasn't even comfortable sitting in front of a camera a couple of years ago, it's been, I wouldn't say an easy possibly, but you've made it a lot easier for me to sort of step forward, share my knowledge and my enthusiasm. So I've got to give all of you a thank you, and also to the producers for giving me this opportunity in the first place.
It's been an incredible run of what has been probably 2, 3, 4 months of rally action. I've learned so much, massive in part to your wealth of knowledge on rally. But I think that does pretty much bring us to the end of season 2. It's so sad to say goodbye to what has been such a fantastic thing. But Isa, where can they find you if they want to check you out a little bit on the off season?
All of the links is amusing right down there. The wording there at is amusing, or whatever combination is on the social medias. We will be doing by run later on, I presume. So if you want to watch some more crashes in rallying, you know where to find me at least.
Amazing stuff. If you want to check out more about the Creator Series socials, all the links are above us. There's YouTube, Instagram, X or Twitter, and of course TikTok. There's highlights behind the scenes, and of course all the chaos moments that ensue not only in rally but of course Formula 1 and Formula 2 as well. If you want to check myself out, I'm at They Call Me TK on pretty much every single social media, or some variant of that according to whatever channel you're on. But that is it from us here in the commentary box. And until next time, when we see you return for season 3, it is good night and God bless.